Hello there. You're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
And in honor of the newly released Michael Jackson biopic, Dylan and I will be going head to head in a cinema showdown to determine which music biopic is really the top of the charts. To moderate and judge this debate, we have Kirk Simpson back on the show.
Hello. Pleased to be here. It's been so long since I've seen you guys.
I know,
right? Let's do our box office breakdown for April 24th to the 26th. In first place, Ryan, the first of your movies on your box office draft roster, Michael, has released to a whopping $97.2 million domestically. Thoughts?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
That's what we need. Very
highest,
thrilled about
highest
that.
opening for a biopic. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Very good.
Out Oppenheimer for that. Definitely the highest music biopic as well. So I'm hoping this will be the start of its Bohemian Rhapsody run. So it should also do really well worldwide. So I'm happy about that. The Super Mario Galaxy movie has 820 million worldwide off of what was probably about a $19 million weekend. We'll say something to that. But yours is doing quite well. So again, it's on the $1 billion track.
That's right.
It doesn't look like it's going to get up to the 2023 Mario movies, 1.3 billion. So how are you feeling about that?
I mean, that's okay. I expected a little bit of a drop, but hey, every movie I pick that makes over $1 billion, just $1 billion more than you, bitch. In third place, we have Project Hail Mary with 12 million. That brings its domestic total to 305 million, and its worldwide total to 600 million. Truly a movie that may have been missed for our roster.
Amaze.
There you go. Lee Cronin's The Mummy with 5.5 million.
The Drama with 2.6 million.
Hoppers, 1.9 million.
You, Me, and Tuscany, 1.4 million.
Over Your Dead Body, 1.3 million in its debut.
Mother Mary, 1.2 million in its debut.
And American Young Boy, 1.1 million to round out the top 10.
And our box office predictions for May 1st to the 3rd. Anne Hathaway, coming off of an opening weekend with Mother Mary, has The Devil Wears Prada 2 coming out. What do we think, fellas? Is this movie going to... I was trying to think of a fashion pun, and I couldn't think of any in time. That really sucks. Is this movie going to be good or not, guys?
I think it's going to be good, and I think it's going to do very well. I think a lot of women who were in their 20s when the first one came out are prime wine mom age now, and are going to be getting the band back together to go see this. And I think it's going to be big.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, which is great to see, like a high profile comedy film.
Yeah,
in a big opening. So yeah, I think.
Where are you putting that, Ryan?
Say 70 million.
Really? You think it's gonna be that big of a hit?
People are saying this is huge. I'm telling you, like what Kirk was saying, getting the gang back together. It's gonna be girls' nights, 3 nights in a row. A lot of peeps.
70 domestic?
70 million domestic.
I don't know about. I think definitely over 50. I think.
I'll give it 60.
Yeah.
Okay. 50, 60, 70. We'll see where it lands, but the hype is definitely there for it. So we'll just have to see if that materializes for a big opening. But yeah, definitely a strong, not even quite summer season yet, but with Michael and then this.
Yeah, for real.
Good
it's gonna be a big year for the box office.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So now we're gonna dive into our cinema showdown. So the competitors this time around will be me and Dylan.
It's been a while since we've had this mashup. Was it when we did our DC Pitch Fest? Is that the last time we went head to head?
Yeah, it's maybe the only time we went head to head, but
that can't be the only time.
I think so, because normally we always were able to get a third on to battle it out, but this time it'll be just us going head to head.
Get it out.
And our judge, of course, will be Kirk.
Yes, I'm thrilled to be recording an episode for which I had to do zero prep work.
Hell yeah, it's about time, Kirk.
And
it was good.
Topic once again, best music biopic. And then for the structure of today's showdown, if it pleases the Honorable Kirk Simpson, we have a 2-minute opening,
All right.
Then 25-minute open debate with possible 10-minute extension up to the judge's discretion. Then 10 to 15-minute Q&A up to the judge's discretion.
Okay.
And then a 1-minute closing statement from each competitor, followed by deliberation and decision by the judge.
Nice. All right. Would you like me to be the timekeeper?
If you would, that would be
Yeah.
amazing. I'm sure
I
for the
gotcha.
opening statement, or at least I will, I'll have a little stopwatch just to keep track. But yeah, as far as the like open debate,
Yeah.
the
I gotcha.
extensions and all that, you can monitor where we're at.
You can dole it out at your discretion.
All right.
Indeed. Okay. So we'll be doing this one. So Kirk doesn't know the selections we
I
made.
do not.
We of course know each other's. Is
Yeah. Kirk, appealing to your expertise here, what is your interaction with musical biopics?
I can take or leave a lot of them.
Okay.
I like, I gravitate more towards the ones that either just are of, musicians that I like or that I think do something sort of formally inventive.
Okay.
I think anything that can really like tailor the movie to the strengths of the artist,
Okay.
I think is worthy.
So you'd say you've seen quite a few, or
I've seen a middling amount.
a middling amount? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
okay. Would it be fair to know once we say our selections?
Yeah.
If you would comment that yes, you have seen it.
I'm happy to hear
have
that.
not.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I mean,
I would hate to spoil the movie for you, but if you've already
we're gonna
seen
have
it,
to go
I'd be
into
happy
it,
to spoil it.
but
Okay.
yeah, what? Well, also
I would
real life
encourage
people,
spoilers.
so
Yes,
probably gonna
I
know.
would encourage spoilers just for the fact that I wouldn't want anybody to feel like they're arguing with
The
an arm
debate.
tied behind
Yeah,
their
yeah,
back.
Yeah.
But I will say, we made the most boring selections we possibly could for this because they're without a doubt the most high profile music biopics.
Gotcha.
But maybe when the Beatles comes out, we'll do another one and we'll look for more hidden gems.
Do a cinema showdown of which one of the 4 Beatles movies is the best one.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I do think if I had entered this Cinema Showdown, I probably would have argued for. I think it's called "I'm Not There," which is the
the Joaquin Phoenix one.
Apart. It's the like split apart.
Bob Dylan one where they have like 6 people playing Bob Dylan.
Oh, gotcha.
Which I figured
it's really good.
There was going to be 2 ways.
I'm thinking of "I'm Still Here."
Yes,
I was going to I was either going to go like something like that, which I haven't seen, but I was like, that sounds like such a cool idea.
It really is.
I would love to go into it.
Yeah.
But then the other thing, which I'll argue for here, is like, well, that seems really cool. I'm like, how much does that go into the actual music versus the other stuff of just his personal life?
Yeah.
And so, as far as a music biopic, I'm like, what do I look for? What do I really enjoy from it?
Yeah.
It's that music part, baby. So
let's not dip too much into our opening statements here. Let's get into this.
Indeed.
Do we have a coin flip to see who's going first? Do we know?
Yeah, we don't know who's going first.
Ryan, I'll let you pick. Who do you want to go first?
I'll let Kirk, the judge, pick.
All right.
All right. I'm going to write down a number between 1 and 10.
All right.
Dylan.
7.
Ryan.
4.
6.
Ooh.
Dylan will be going first.
All righty.
All right. Exciting stuff.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready. Okay. The time begins now. Kirk, have you ever wanted to see a movie that transcends space and time? You ever want to see a movie that blows your socks off about a very, very famous historical figure and turns him essentially into a myth, a man of mystery, a legend? A movie that has love, passion, incredible music, incredible adaptations of older songs, and one hell of a villain. We're talking about Elvis.
Let's go, baby.
I picked Elvis as my pick for my favorite musical biopic. Now, going into it, of course, I think there are better musical biopics. I will concede. But I think for the sake of this conversation, for the sake of doing this around the movie Michael, I think it's important to do this around like what we would consider a stereotypical biopic, the ones that we've seen in the last like 6 or so years. I think Elvis fits the T of that kind of musical biopic that was inspired by this new wave of these types of films, these Oscar baity sort of style films where they're trying to go for awards, they're trying to go for big recognizable names. But I think the presence of Baz Luhrmann behind the camera here and the wowness that he brings to it, the show stoppingness that he brings to it, the crazy editing style, and the sheer bravado of all the choices he makes this the perfect pick for a musical biopic, because not only is it telling Elvis' story, it is immortalizing him as a larger than life man and creating an incredibly entertaining show that is rivaling the actual shows that Elvis put on in his own life. It is taking his music and not just replaying it live, but amping it up with a more modern presence that Elvis would have done had he been able to live such a fruitful life to get to this point in age. It is taking modern artists and it's bringing it back into the fold and then bringing that modern style in to create a sort of hype around it, and is also acknowledging the past and bringing in older interpretations of these songs and blending them all together. If you liked the scene in Sinners where all those things come together in that one scene, this whole movie's like that, nonstop.
All right.
All righty. I have seen Elvis.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Point for Dylan.
Get some water. And now we're ready. So, whenever I start, I can hit the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And away we go. So, the music biopic is like any other genre, right? We have rom-coms where you have certain tropes involved, right? The meet cute, and they break up halfway through. You got horror films, you got the jump scare, you got crime dramas where there's drug deals and shootouts happening. And with each of these genres, there's specific feelings that you would hope that they will invoke in you. Right? With rom-coms, you want to be swept off your feet. You want to swoon. With horror, you want to be scared. With crime dramas, you want to be thrilled. With the music biopic, you want to be wowed. And my selection, Bohemian Rhapsody, delivers on the wow. And what I'll also wager is that, as Dylan mentioned, these are cut kind of from the same cloth. So, the formal ingenuity isn't quite going to be there. But I think this film delivers on what you would hope, right? It does have a lot of tropes, but it delivers them the best way that they can be delivered. And it gives you what a music biopic should, which is, again, the wow factor, capturing the magic of the iconic songs and performances, essentially delivering you on a big screen with the best sound system possible, the concert experience, right? Being swept up as you would be if you were there watching them live. It also should give you more meaning to the songs by showing the process of how and why they were created. And a music biopic should give you a deeper understanding of who the person was off stage. We know they're a legend. We know they're incredible because otherwise a movie wouldn't be getting made about them. But we also want to understand the person behind the persona. Who were they off stage? Who were they in their private life? And Bohemian Rhapsody absolutely delivers on that with Freddie Mercury's story, giving us incredible performances of Queen, giving us the creations of incredible songs like the title song, and giving us an understanding of Freddie's personal life, including the warts and all. That's my 2 minutes.
All right. Exciting opening statements from both. Appreciate it very much. And so now, about 25 minutes, you said for.
Wait, have you seen Bohemian Rhapsody?
I have seen Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, so you're familiar with both of them.
I am familiar with both. Yes.
Good.
And I will say,
hopefully, you don't harbor a secret hatred for one of them.
I don't harbor a secret hatred for it. I have mixed feelings on both.
All right.
Interesting.
So I'm excited to hear all of this.
Okay. This is exciting.
All right. 25-ish minutes. Beginning now.
All right, Ryan, in your opening statement, you listed a lot of tropes that you think defines what a musical biopic should be in terms of both tropes and feelings, and you're saying that you should evoke certain feelings. One of the things you said wowed, and then you also said, more importantly, that it's providing that concert performance, that it's creating that sense of being at the concert. I do not feel that way at Bohemian Rhapsody in the same way that I do at Elvis. When you're looking at Elvis, because of the way that Baz Luhrmann is stylistically appealing to this editing sense, the sense of editing, the sense of cinematography, the sense of scope with Elvis's performance. I mean, the crash zooms, the multi-panel editing that you have, the different kinds of cameras being used here to evoke that sense of the 60s while also taking his music and like amping it up to a more modern sense of style and pace really puts me into like what the audience was feeling watching an Elvis concert in the 60s, what they genuinely felt like feeling coming off of him. And a huge part of the Elvis film is how the audience interacts with Elvis and why they love him as an artist so much. So it's so shocking to me that you would even lean on this as a position, that you would lean on the concert power and the staying power of Bohemian Rhapsody as a selling point when Elvis so clearly does it so much better. Please answer.
All right, so let's continue. Well, what's funny to me is you keep, appealing to the fact that Baz Luhrmann is having to bring in modern sensibilities or using all these different tricks and tools in order to amp up the feeling that an
Yeah.
Elvis performance should be able to stand alone and give you that sensational feeling, right? So clearly, we're not being put into the audience how they would have been seeing him in that time if he's continually having to use these bag of tricks in order to change and alter what the
Okay.
performance would have been like. Contrast that with Bohemian Rhapsody, which gives you, as its climax, a nearly 20-minute performance of Live Aid, where Queen was up there and they stole the show, and we get to see exactly why they stole the show.
Okay.
From that first song, when he
are
reprises
not
Bohemian Rhapsody, to the end with We Are the Champions, we are put into the exact feeling that everyone had when they were there in the stadium or watching at home, seeing Freddie Mercury play the crowd like an instrument, and then also using his incredible vocals, his incredible synergy with the bands in order to put on an absolute showstopper. And we didn't need a bunch of different tricks and whatnot in order to convey that message. All we needed was the investment we had built up over the course of the film and the incredible music that Queen was offering in order to give us, again, a sensational concert experience so that we were left on the highest highs imaginable. And Queen was able to speak for itself.
But Ryan, we're not arguing Elvis versus Queen. We're arguing Elvis the movie versus Bohemian Rhapsody the movie. And if you and I both know that as a filmmaker, the whole point of making a movie is to evoke a sense in the audience using these tricks and techniques, using these sort of tricks of the trade to do that. We're not making documentaries here. We're not documenting Live Aid. We are trying to evoke a sense in the audience. And Baz Luhrmann does that with these tricks. He uses these modern sensibilities. He uses these fast pacing editing and these camera pans and these whips and whatnot to evoke the feeling that the audience felt when they saw Elvis come out and be something so new and so fresh and so bold. You can't create that sense in an audience that has lived with Elvis's music for 60 plus years. We know Elvis's music. You can't just play his music and evoke that sense. You have to amplify it and create the sense of wonder that this audience felt at the time. That's the whole point. I'm not trying to go to a movie to just watch a Queen concert. I want to feel what these people felt watching the Queen concert. And I know Bohemian
100%.
Rhapsody. I know these songs. I've
In
listened
Bohemian
to songs
Rhapsody,
over and over again. I'm not wowed by it in the same way that I'm wowed by Elvis, because when I'm watching Elvis, I am like getting full body chills. I am watching the audience, like close-ups of these audience members literally jizz their pants that Elvis is there. These
Okay.
women are like, there's a whole extended sequence when he first gets on stage where these women are like tempted to scream because of how much they're in love with the way that he wiggles his pelvis. You know, he's Elvis the pelvis. They're in love with the way he moves. It evokes that sense of amazement and astonishment that the audience has, and it puts us in their position. At no point am I feeling like I'm a member of the audience of Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm just watching a concert scene of a biopic movie, you know?
So not true at all. I would say it's not just taking the exact footage and like doing a recreation of what we saw on the Live Aid.
Sure.
They show us
But you just said it
of
was.
Freddie
You
Mercury.
just said it was. You said that they didn't need any tricks or techniques.
Yeah,
that
I'm
they
not
were
saying
just
we're doing
playing
crazy
music
whip
as they did
hands.
it.
We're not doing whip hands and crash zooms and these overly
But
excessive
what is the difference?
stylistic tricks.
What is
I'm
about
saying we're
the movie
using,
that extends
listen to
beyond
me speak,
just
if you would. We're
okay?
we're using cinematic language.
Order.
Thank you, Judge. We're using the cinematic language in order to
Uh-huh.
showcase the emotions that are going on for the band members. As again, he's up there playing Bohemian Rhapsody. He gives a kiss to the camera, which he said to his mom in the concert beforehand that he was going to do that and to be on the lookout for it. So we get little
Mhm.
moments like that are character based. We get to see as well reactions of the crowd, but we also get to see again how the crowd becomes involved in the concert with the whole Radio Gaga moment where they're all clapping in unison and we see like a wave wash over the entire crowd. That wasn't in the actual Live Aid thing, but we're able to feel that sensation of okay, they're all in unison, they're all being united by the power of Queen's music, which is incredible. We also get the moments of again little close-ups on the rest of the band as they're seeing Freddie do that, the Deo moment where the entire crowd is being enveloped in this with him, and they're like, "Wow, look this guy! He's so beloved. He's again playing the crowd like an instrument. It's phenomenal to see." So we're able to see these little close-up shots here and there, these little moments, where again which I'm assuming was some VFX that they did, but to have the entire crowd act like a wave, again, those aren't the most crazy stylistic moves. There's not 150% flair in them, but they still hold power and they give you what you want, which is that concert experience, the feeling like you were actually there. Baz Luhrmann, does he have style? Yes, we all know this, but he has excessive style and he does
Excessive
use
is
it
insane.
to a
Absolutely
detriment,
not.
to the
Absolutely
detriment
not.
of the film, where
100%
instead of
not.
focusing
Incorrect.
on Elvis, it's more
Name one
about Baz
time.
Luhrmann
Name one
using it
time.
as an outlet for his style. So again, the
Name
split screen
one time.
stuff, the multi-screen stuff,
Fantastic.
using modern music and whatnot.
Yes.
If this is an Elvis film, why are we having Doja Cat come
Bro,
in? Why are we having covers of Elvis songs
so
come in?
sick. It
Baz
is so
Luhrmann's
awesome.
sensibilities are not awesome.
You have
They
the
detract
original.
from the story.
You have the original singer
from our depiction of Elvis.
singing "Hound Dog." You have Elvis walking through Memphis, and then you have Doja Cat coming in with her version of "Hound Dog." It
Why?
is
For
the
what
everlasting presence of this style of music, how it has remained through
Doja
music
Cat
history and currently influences music
sampling
history.
Hound
Yes.
Dog is
Sick.
paying respect
Wicked.
to Elvis and the source of
Absolutely.
music. Not at all.
What's wrong with Doja Cat?
It's
What's wrong with
because
Doja
he always
Cat,
puts
Ryan?
modern music in his films.
Do you
He
not
always
like
does.
empowering
He
black
always has
women,
anachronistic
Ryan?
stuff. It's just Baz
What's wrong with
Luhrmann
Doja
doing his
Cat?
own style at the detriment. Doja Cat's fine, but it shouldn't be in an Elvis movie.
It
I
should
think
be.
everyone would agree with that. That's absurd.
Because
You're saying it
It
should
is
be?
trying
We
to
needed
evoke a
this?
feeling. Yes, absolutely. I was against it when I first watched it, and on this new viewing, a lot of things came off a lot better this time. I think it works to the benefit of the film. I think it's great, and I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed Tom Hanks' performance this time. I thought he was good.
Come off it, bro. You're
No,
lying.
I'm not. I genuinely think he's good in the film.
You can't trust this man. This is absurd. Colonel Tom Parker is the
He's a
worst
great
performance
character.
Tom Hanks has ever given, and it's not even close. It's absurd.
No,
This is one of our great
this is good.
actors, and
Yeah.
he's in awful prosthetics, using an awful accent.
It's good
doing an
prosthetics.
absurd
It's not bad
voiceover
prosthetics
narration.
at all.
You don't
It's
even
a
like
good
voiceover
voiceover
narration.
I don't.
You hate
This is-
voiceover narration, and all we
this-
get is
by
him
giving
telling
the
us stuff.
narration by giving the narration to Tom Parker, it creates a separation from Elvis where we can consider him like a mythological creature, where we see his rise
Why
to
do
power.
we want that? We know he's the myth. We enjoy his music, and we understand he's larger than life.
It
We want a
creates
music
it
biopic
creates that larger than
so
life
we can
presence.
get
At
to
the
know
end
him.
of the movie,
We
the
want
end title
intimacy.
card is that Elvis Presley was and still is the highest selling solo recording artist of all time. And this movie puts us in that presence of such a legend. Because the whole movie, he spends his whole life, he's trying to get to that rock of eternity. He wants to be known for something. He wants to be famous for something. And he goes, and at the very end of his life, he has been used and abused by Tom Parker. He has been slammed into Vegas for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. He can't travel. He's forced to do things that he does not want to do. He becomes overweight. He becomes addled with drugs and alcohol. He is like at the end of his wits. And he says in the car with Priscilla, the last time that we see them together in the movie, he's saying that he never got to do anything great. He never got to make that great movie. He never got to do the things he wanted to do. And then it ends with him singing a performance of Unchained Melody, and it cuts to the real Elvis singing it. And it cuts to Elvis's real performances, and it's saying that he may have felt this way about himself, but he was a legend. He was the highest selling solo recording artist of all time. He is the myth that the movie is trying to make you believe. He's the myth that Tom Parker wanted you to believe. He is genuinely this icon, this legend, even if he didn't believe in himself. And that gives me chills. It gives me chills when I watch the film to see that sort of presence in a movie. I'm saying Elvis has not one, not two, but 4 entrances into this film. And they are each incredible because
Okay.
he's such an icon.
Sure. Here's the thing, though. Again, you don't need this movie to tell you he's an icon when we already know there's a million Elvis impersonators in
But that's
Vegas.
the point of the movie.
His
That's
songs
the
are so
point
popular
of the
and all
movie.
this stuff. But it's not, though. Again, you were just trying to say this whole thing is dedicated to making him a legend, when I'm saying the music biopic should peek behind the curtain and give us an understanding of who the man really
It
was.
does.
And by
It
your own
leads into
admission,
his
the viewpoint character for this film is Tom Parker. We start on Tom Parker, and also we end on Tom Parker. Tell me how, after we cut to the real Elvis, and then we have the real, Elvis voice is also, I forget what he was saying, but we hear real Elvis's voice.
Mhm.
And do they end the film on that? No. Baz Luhrmann once again goes back to Colonel Tom Parker to finish off the film, where we see
How does it end?
he takes like his final breath. Colonel Tom Parker's like on his
It ends on
deathbed,
an image of
and then he's got a thing,
Elvis.
and then he dies.
It ends on an image of Elvis surrounded by the stars.
It
They were
it is again going to a stylism. It's like a crossfade.
They were
Between
unfortunately
Elvis being posed
interlinked.
and then Colonel Tom Parker giving his dying breath, and it's like, again, you don't believe that Tom Hanks' performance is good, or that the Colonel
do.
Tom Parker character is.
I
good.
genuinely do.
It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's bafflingly bad.
It's not.
So
It's
anytime
bafflingly
it's on
bad.
screen,
Every second of Bohemian Rhapsody is bafflingly bad. I
Not
watched
true
this
at all.
movie. I cannot believe Rami Malek won an Oscar for it. He's the lead character. Austin Butler
Indeed.
is leagues ahead of him. He is sweating fucking bullets in every scene that he is. He is giving everything to his performance as Elvis. He is
he does a
absolutely
workout
killing
before he
it
goes
every
out
second.
and does his hip thrusting and whatnot.
He's fantastic.
You can't
He is-
deny
he
that
is
the Tom Parker
embodying Elvis.
character is just ill-advised. It just feels goofy.
It's not. It's not.
Tonally,
goofy.
it's a mismatch for all this other
It's
stuff.
not a mismatch.
He just feels like a cartoon villain brought to life on screen. But again, we know the real abuse that this man put Elvis through. So then it just
Yeah,
feels insane.
it does
Like,
not shy away from that
this is
whatsoever.
literally the villain
the
of that
villain
guy's
of the
life.
film,
And
absolutely.
he seems ridiculous. He seems like a Saturday morning cartoon. He's going
He's
around
not a
talking about
Saturday
snow
morning
jobs.
cartoon.
He says
Yeah.
snow before everything.
Yeah.
Snow job this, snow job that. We had more snow.
Yeah.
He sounds absurd. He is
He is absurd. He was
And it
absurd in real
detracts
life. How
from
did
the
you want
power
to
of
make
the
a
film.
movie about that? No. It does not detract from the
How
power
about
of the film.
focus on Elvis? How about
It does.
we don't
It's
focus
2
on
hours
Tom
and 40
Parker?
minutes, and it's all
We
about
focus on
Elvis. It's
Elvis.
all about Elvis's history. It's all
No,
about
it's
Elvis's
not.
life. You cannot make the movie without Tom Parker's character because they were inexplicably interlinked with each other. Because
He should be a part of it, but he should not be the viewpoint character where we're getting
he
voiceover
is the
narration.
rise and downfall of Elvis Presley. He's both.
Where every time we have to hear that terrible accent come through. Again, it's just
not
another
that bad.
indication of Baz Luhrmann's style is ultimately detrimental to
It
the
is not
overall film.
detrimental.
It's
It
excessive, it's
creates a
over the
sense
top,
of
and
wonder, and it makes it more
detracts-
distinct than the boring Bohemian Rhapsody.
detracts from Elvis.
Capital B
Bohemian
boring.
Rhapsody's not
Who
boring.
directed
Calm down.
Bohemian Rhapsody again?
Look.
Who's the filmmaker
Judge
behind Bohemian
objection.
Rhapsody?
That should not be allowed. Okay, we
Should not be allowed. I'm sorry.
Debate.
Who made the film, by the way?
At this time, I will be instructing the witness to answer the question.
Brian
Well,
Singer.
Was it in
Who-
fact a pedophile?
He's made good movies before. Look,
Okay, so
Roman
now we're defending
Polanski
pedophiles.
is
are we?
also a terrible person.
Defending pedophiles and tearing down strong, independent black female artists
Roman-
is insane from you, Ryan.
Wait, what?
Saying that Doja Cat's
I'm for a
not
second-
good.
Oh, Doja Cat. Okay, of course. wasn't she in a call or something, showing feet to white supremacists or something? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's a crazy controversy. Anyway, yes, Bryan Singer, who did terrible things, made this movie, but also Dylan loves another Bryan Singer movie, Days of Future Past. He gave that
I do.
5 stars. He
I
loves
do
that.
love Days of Future
I
Past.
love that film too.
But
So
we're not
look,
debating Days of Future Past
you
versus
can be a
Elvis.
bad
We're
person,
debating
and you can
Bohemian
be a
Rhapsody
good
versus
filmmaker.
Elvis.
So I don't know why he brought that up. If not, to poison the well, Kirk, and say that if you support Bohemian Rhapsody in some way you support a pedophile. That's absurd. Okay,
It's a bit of a
So
straw
let's-
man. But
Let's
but
strike that
my
for the record.
I'm not striking anything from the record. What I'm saying is
You don't have the power.
you're arguing
The
that
honorable
my film is
objection.
too stylistic. I'm arguing that your film does not have any style whatsoever. And I think it's a
I don't think
boring,
that's true at
bland
all.
film that leans upon the like extravagance of Queen's persona without actually creating a style of its own.
No, I wouldn't
The
say that.
movie's
There's definitely
bleeding Queen style,
stylistic
but there's
moments
nothing
in
else
there.
in the movie itself. No.
think of the press conference, right? Where he's high and drunk off his rocker, and then we got this like
Uh-huh.
blurred effect going on. And also, I think maybe a bit of like the fish
You mean
islands.
the most
we get the close-ups.
stereotypical, like the basic choices you can make for somebody that is under the influence to convey
You said
being
it
under
has
the
no
influence?
style, and it has that particular style to it. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Again, having a snorri cam attached to a character, like in Requiem for a Dream, is that kind of a go-to move? Sure. Is it effective? Yes, 100%. It's part of the style that's in there.
I'm saying, what is
Yeah.
a style choice that Bohemian Rhapsody makes that like stands out above other musical biopics?
I just gave
You said in your opening statements that it does lean into tropes at times. When does it
Yeah.
not lean into tropes? When does it do something original or something new?
You're talking about tropes stylistically or story-wise? Because again, the press
Stylistically. I'm
conference
talking
one,
about stylistically.
Elvis didn't have something like that, but it
Story
had
wise, I don't think either of our
a
movies have anything
stylistic
story
approach
wise.
to it, to take something that is a familiar moment, again, like, oh, the conflict with the press, and then is able to ramp it up with the style.
That's
It
not
has
original though.
it has a moment where there's a rooster on screen, and instead of, it's about to do its cock-a-doodle-doo, but instead it overlays that with Galileo from Bohemian Rhapsody, and then that brings us into the recording session that they have there.
Okay, I
So
can give you that.
stuff like that, like, it
I'll give you
has
that.
quirks here and there. Again, Lerman, his
Yeah.
entire film, his filmography, all he does is just try and hit you over the head with style. And
Yeah,
here's my
'cause
thing,
Moulin
again,
Rouge is amazing. Okay, get the fuck
is
out of here.
is Bohemian Rhapsody
We're gonna finish this up, and I'm gonna go in my living room. We're gonna watch Moulin Rouge. I decided watching Elvis that because I liked it so much, I'm going to rewatch his entire filmography to see if I like it. Because I don't recall liking Romeo and Juliet, and I'm only like lukewarm on Great Gatsby, and I love Moulin Rouge. I'm gonna rewatch all of them plus the 2 other movies I haven't seen before, and I bet you I'm gonna love every single one of them because of how amazing Baz Luhrmann is.
Point of order: Romeo
Yes.
and Juliet rocks.
Okay, see, we got one
Oh,
for
all right.
Romeo and Juliet, even though I'm usually against it, but I'm willing to watch it again to give it a shot.
I haven't seen Romeo and Juliet, so I
I'm
kinda
willing
wanna
to give it a
watch
shot
it
again.
and
I
see
will
how
say
that goes.
Mercutio's speech at the end is phenomenal.
All right, there you go. But going back to this debate here, I will agree with you. I mean, we all know, again, Baz Luhrmann definitely has a distinct style to him, and so by comparison, obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody wouldn't be as stylistically adventurous. But what I will say is, you swing for the fences every single time, you're going to get a lot of whiffs.
You
And
hit
that's what
every
Elvis
single
had.
fucking time.
In
You hit
Bohemian
home runs
Rhapsody,
every goddamn time, and it
we
never
bunt
ends.
sometimes, we do line
I'm
drives,
talking
and
about
we
a
got more
6-minute
points.
extended
We
scene
got more people home than
of
you did.
Elvis singing "Suspicious Minds," of
More boots hitting the home plate.
him getting the instruments to start up one by one, getting them to build up, building up, as Elvis is instructing them to bring in more and more and more, getting the drums to come in. That is not the end of Suspicious Mind. It continues through the next sequence. He's doing that.
I don't
He
even think that
starts
was
singing.
Suspicious
It was
Mind. That
Suspicious
was
Minds.
like
It was his first song, and then he leads into Suspicious Minds. It's like a 12-minute sequence of these 2 songs put together, all while the plot is going on of Tom Parker trying to convince Elvis to
and
stay
here's the
at the
over the top
International Hotel.
part that comes into it. We have Suspicious Minds played maybe 5 times in the film, each over Tom Parker doing something cartoonishly villainous, like them coming up with the contract on the
5 times.
tablecloth
Yeah,
as he's playing Suspicious Minds, saying, "We're caught in a trap." He
Yeah.
does it again multiple times.
No,
Later
he
they
sings
do
it one more time later on using the "I'm caught in a trap because you signed me to this."
and
Like,
then
he
when he's
has
about
a
to fire him,
breakdown,
he
yeah.
says it again. So we have the
It's
again
the same scene. That's the same scene,
excessive
Ryan.
style. It's a later scene.
It's the
You don't
same
even know
scene.
the movie. The first scene is him when he first sings Suspicious Minds. It's his first concert, and then the other one is
At Vegas.
and then there's another one there. But I'm saying the final
No.
one, when we bring up
Suspicious Minds didn't come out. The
He
song did
says-
not come out until he's in Vegas. That's the first time he said, "I'm going to play you a new song." And he plays Suspicious Minds.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying Baz Luhrmann
Yes,
uses a lot of the songs over and over again to hit you over the head with
he
these
might
certain
use the
feelings.
the score of the song as
No,
part
I'm
of like the
saying
score
we
of the
do
movie.
Suspicious Minds a couple times, and then he references it. He has
I'm saying
Elvis
Austin Butler as
literally say the
Elvis
words.
sings "Suspicious Minds" once in the movie.
He
And they
has
use
Elvis
they use the motif
words.
of Suspicious Minds multiple times throughout the film to create a musical motif related to Tom Parker's financial abuse, which
Using
is
the motif of beating
intelligence.
you over the head with it.
It's
Can't
not
help
beating over the head with it.
falling in love.
You would never say this.
multiple
This is
times.
bullshit, Ryan. You would never say this about any other movie. A
And he
movie that
has
would commit to a
covers.
musical motif to convey a certain emotion is an intelligent
Said
choice.
Elvis
and
only
you
sang it once.
fucking
There's
know it.
another. There's
This
a
is
cover
absolute
of
bullshit.
Suspicious Minds. There's another cover of Suspicious
There's no
Minds.
covers. There's no
there is.
covers.
And then Can't Help Falling
There
in
are
Love. There's multiple
orchestral
covers.
versions of Suspicious Minds.
You're just wrong. Casey
not wrong.
Musgraves' Can't Help Falling in Love plays when he kisses Priscilla, which is crazy to do because, again, she's 14. And here's my other thing.
Yeah.
Is Elvis, we're building the myth of Elvis.
Yeah.
What Bohemian Rhapsody does well is it shows warts and all. It gives
Yeah.
us the darker sides of Freddie Mercury. There's a lot of times where he's a dick to like his bandmates, but you understand why. You see the pain. You see what he's running from. You see why he's going to indulgences in drugs, alcohol, in all these orgies or whatnot. With Elvis, you don't get the darker sides of him. We don't get the most major thing, right? Priscilla, him falling in love, dating this 14-year-old. We don't get any of that.
They never
into it.
shied away from it.
They did shy away from it, from them
No.
not emphasizing her age at any point.
He says teenage daughter. Colonel Parker's narration
Yeah,
says that she's a teenage daughter.
Okay.
They
Not
say it.
when you think teenage daughter that you're getting married to, you would think, okay, 19, maybe 18.
How are you going to
not
convey
14
that it's
years
a
old.
problem when it wasn't a problem at the time?
At least showcase it. It is a problem now, and that's part of. And
It
was
is.
a problem
And
then.
they
It was
mention that.
against
They
the
say it's
law.
a teenage daughter.
I don't think 14 years old, and it's always been 18 or 16 in America.
He's from
No
Memphis.
state was
Okay.
ever 14.
It's different in Memphis. All right.
That's
They were
pretty-
in Germany
I mean-
when they met. Okay. It's different in Germany. All right.
but they were Americans. They're on like a U.S. base. They're still held by U.S. laws, so they don't dive.
I'm not
into
debating
any-
the legality of the U.S. embassy. Okay, we're not getting into that when we're talking about Elvis.
Point of order. Point of order.
We are not talking about the U.S.
Hang on.
embassy.
Point of order. He's from Memphis is not an adequate defense of marrying a 14-year-old. I just got to throw that in there real quick.
What the
He's
heck?
from Memphis from the 1930s. Okay, it was a different time and a different place. Okay, this is not Orlando, Florida, 2026. This is Memphis, Tennessee, 1950s.
It's not okay. But at the least, it's like, okay, dive into that. He was an incredible musician, incredible artist, and here's this terrible thing that he did that was ill-advised and all this.
But
Dig
they
into
do.
that.
They
Give us
do.
some complexity, but they don't. They sugarcoat.
They
Let me
do.
tell you this.
They
With the
do,
drug
because
stuff, it barely comes up. It's
It does
hardly
not
a thing
barely
until
come
the
up.
very
It's,
end.
it's his entire third act of the movie is being
Womanizing-
addicted to drugs.
The womanizing doesn't really play a part. The first time it majorly comes
The
up,
womanizing
when
could play more of a part.
he's kissing every woman in the audience.
Yeah, I'll give you that. The womanizing could play a bigger part in it. It's barely
And then
referenced.
Colonel Tom Parker tries to shoo it aside. It's like, oh, this was just his love for you, the audience. And I was like, what? He's not kissing everyone in the audience. Number one.
But that's the point
Only
of the movie.
the
That's
hot
the
girls.
whole point of the movie. Of course, that is the point of the movie. Is that Elvis is in love with
so
the
they don't
attention
go
from the
into the
audience.
womanizing part of it, though, which I think is
No,
ridiculous.
no. This is another infatuation with you and womanizing and cheating and stuff. For some reason, you always
Keep
bring this
saying
up on
that.
the
I just
show.
brought up the drugs as well. They don't
You bring
go
it up
into
all
any
the
of
time.
his
We did it
drug
in
use.
past lives. We did this in the drama. We're not doing this now.
It's the basis
concede
of past
to you.
lives.
I will concede
not
to
the drama.
you that they do not bring up the womanizing perhaps enough in Elvis.
So
But they
don't
do
show
bring up
darker
the
side.
complications
We
of
want to know the person
Elvis and
behind the
Priscilla's
persona.
relationship. They do bring up the complications of the relationship, the tension that is there based on his presence.
You don't
in
buy
their
into the relationship at all because
I
again,
absolutely buy into the
there's 4
relationship. What are you
scenes
talking
between
about?
them. You buy into him being with a 14-year-old. I'm kidding.
I do. It happened.
They
It
have
literally-
4
this is
scenes.
fact.
The first scene where, and again, this started. They play a cover of "Can't Help Falling in Love" during that part. They'd play another cover later on. They do
Mhm.
play Elvis doing it a couple of times as well. But anyway, this is all to get to again.
It's a motif. It's a motif of
stylism
love.
is
They are
over
doing
the top.
motifs.
It
You
beats
dick.
you over the head with it.
You love a musical motif
effective.
and you know it, you asshole.
Some
You're
motifs
such
well
a piece
done.
of shit. You're
Not when we
such a
have
piece of shit.
Elvis not
Only when
having
it's convenient to you is it well done.
movie.
This is a,
Covers of an Elvis song
this
in
is
his
a
own
bunch
movie.
of crap.
It's
Yeah.
because only of Lerman. No one else would decide to do that. Lerman's doing it because he wants his style to take precedence over Elvis. He's trying to
No.
take over the crown from the king. It's like, just focus on Elvis. What are you doing?
He
Whereas
does.
Bohemian
Elvis is
Rhapsody-
overwhelmingly painted all over this film.
Bohemian Rhapsody again,
Overwhelmingly.
focuses on Freddie Mercury's dark sides. It focuses on
It focuses
the
on
riffs
Elvis's dark
in
side
the
too, and the
band.
tragedy involved in his life.
exactly. So we get
Absolutely
both
it
the
does.
persona, Live Aid, all the incredible performances, like he's in that Killer Queen outfit when he's doing the
Of course.
touring, the Break Free video. I want to break free. Like we get all those iconic moments to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, no wonder he held everyone's imagination and love and support. But also
Yeah.
we get to see who he was off stage, who he was when he wasn't Freddie Mercury, when he was just Freddie, the man.
But you get to see that with Elvis.
That's
You get
what
to
you
see that
want
with
in
his
the
relationship with his mother and his father, with his wife, with his bandmates.
And those
who he
are
wants
those
to
are
be.
undercooked.
It is all about
they-
who he wants to see himself as a person, who he wants to be as a person. He's constantly seeing himself as
I would have loved
as
a movie that
somebody-
focused on that instead of Colonel Tom Parker and his terrible accent
It
and the
is,
stuff with
it's-
the mom.
it is about how he
is
sees
under-
himself. His
and over the
mom
top as
and
well.
Tom Parker have a battling sense of opinions. That Tom
You
Parker
said you
wants
just
him-
saw this movie, right?
Yes.
Can you tell me whether or not after Elvis and his mom have a fight,
Mhm.
yes or no, does the character then say, "Wow, you upset Mama, Elvis," after she stormed off, clearly angry? This is the
Yeah.
type
Yes.
of
That does
again
happen.
over the top, beating you over the head with this stuff. It's just
You saying that wouldn't
can't
a
connect it.
character wouldn't say that in real life? Are we nitpicking the dialogue here? Because I think a character would absolutely say that.
we're saying that in addition with other moments where Lerman flashes back in time to show us moments of Colonel Tom Parker doing some like saying something fishy, it's beating you over the head. You're not allowed to just connect with Elvis. You're constantly told through narration or told through a dialogue of some character that witnesses the same thing we saw, which is someone clearly being upset, or told later on when after we already know Colonel Tom Parker's villainous, we're getting flashbacks of him doing villainous things. We've already seen him take advantage and be villainous. It's
So
all
you're
this.
saying because we've seen him be villainous, we can't see it happen again? Are you saying that we can't tell the truth of Elvis's story? That he
I'm saying
can't be villainous multiple
we've
times?
already seen
This is
it,
stupid.
and we're
Okay, so
flashing
we
back to
couldn't
moments
see
we've
more.
already seen to remind
Yes,
the
it's
audience
called
that
emphasis.
it's called Lerman being
It
over the top
is
and excessive.
montage style
Absolutely.
editing with emphasis to callbacks. That's what it
As
is.
always, it's him being over the top and
It's not
distracting
him
us
being
from
over
being
the
in the
top. It is
film, connecting with Elvis,
phenomenal filmmaking.
being
This
in
is
the
a
moment.
load of bullshit, bro. This is absolute load of bullshit.
Again,
All
the
right.
most filmmaking is not the best filmmaking.
Point
I'm
of order.
saying
Point of order. Point of order. Order.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have reached our 25-ish minute mark. So here's what I'd like to do.
Okay.
I would like to give each of you the opportunity, if you have a point that you would like to make to the other that you haven't made yet, that hasn't come up in the flow of conversation. I'd like to give you the opportunity to present that and then give the other person a singular opportunity to respond.
Ryan, I'll let you go.
No recrossing, but a direct question
So is this,
or point and response.
and then after this, do we go into Q&A?
After this, we will enter
The
the
end of
Q&A
open
session.
debate? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I would like to say, again, my emphasis on music biopic, right? Recreating the magic of the performer. And we also talked about giving a deeper understanding to who they are off stage, right? The person behind the persona. So I think I've covered that enough with the Live Aid and how Freddie Mercury, we do see the darker shades to him. My third element of what makes a great music biopic and why Bohemian Rhapsody delivers on that is that we're able to give more meaning to the songs by showing the process of how or why they are created. And in Bohemian Rhapsody, we get a lot of that. Again, Dylan is going to bring up, which is true, the one moment where, as he's about to get ready for his Vegas residency, we see Elvis working with the band and like reshaping the song, which I think is a great moment. Would have loved to see more of that and more of Elvis's artistry at play. We don't get that in Elvis. We do in Bohemian Rhapsody, where we see Freddie Mercury's perfectionism and his unrivaled creativity, where Bohemian Rhapsody, again, we all know that song now, right? But 6.5 minutes, again, back in that time to get radio play, right? We're not doing streaming. Everyone, you just have to listen to it on the radio. That was a massive gamble. And it had 3 distinct sections, including the operatic section. And we see him in the studio as they're running over time, and he's continually forcing, Roger Taylor to go higher and higher with the Galileos and whatnot. We see the creativity at work. We see all the work that got put into Bohemian Rhapsody. And then later we see how they're being told that this will not be a hit. It will not work. It's just not to the tastes of people. But then they believed in it, released it. And of course, we know how that went since then. But I think it's great that they showcase the process of what went into the film and also how unlikely it was for it to actually become a hit. I mean, think of when's the last time we had a 6-minute hit? Like, I have no idea. I have no clue. So again, the fact that we get to understand why Bohemian Rhapsody was such a major song, so iconic. Same thing with Another One Bites the Dust. I like how they came in with that one. There's arguing, there's strife in the bands, and then John Deacon just starts hitting that bass line, and we're like, oh man, something so good that it stops the argument dead in its tracks. Like, I like that. And they do the same thing for We Will Rock You, where Brian May is like, oh, our audience has been trying to feed into the concert, right? They want to participate. Well, let's give them something. Let's give them an instrument they can play. What would that be? Okay, the stomp, stomp, clap. So it gives us insight into how these iconic songs, things that we know like the back of our hand, how they were created and what their intention was. And I think the best example of that in this film would be Love of My Life, where that ballad that Freddie writes to his girlfriend turned fiance, but never quite wife, lover, but eventually just best friends, Mary. And I think it's a beautiful scene where he's showing a concert where they're performing it. He's saying it was like overseas. He had no idea if they knew that they even understood what he was saying. And then all of a sudden they're all singing that song in unison, thousands of people. And number one, I think that's a great impact of showing how the audience can be affected by the artistry, and then how the artist is then taken aback by, wow, look at all these people who love and adore me. But then it ties into, again, his relationship with Mary, because that allows them to start having the dialogue, which the song already captured, right? The feeling of that sort of heartache, heartbreak. Here, they're able to finally have that discussion where he comes out to her and she's like, I've kind of known all this time, but now it's here and we can't like go on with this lie anymore. Even though he strongly feels and she strongly cares for him, right? That love of my life feeling, they can't actually make it work. They're not like compatible with each other. And so I love the way that that song, which you hear earlier on, and hear him like writing it for her as she's there. We come back to it later on, and it's a segue into them having this crucial moment in the relationship. Then they play it again later on in the film. So again, talk about your musical motifs. This one works well because we understand the power behind this song, and it comes in with different meanings each time, rather than just displaying the same meaning every single time. Right? It's showcasing the evolution of the relationship. So once again, I think a music biopic should give meaning to the iconic songs and give them new power, right? By showing us the process of how and why they were created. And I think Bohemian Rhapsody does a great job of layering these iconic songs we already know with new meaning through the narrative of the film.
Okay, objection, Your Honor. That was arguably 2 or 3 points that he made there, not just one.
This is all in service of one.
He pulled
point.
it back together at the end.
Objection. That is an extensive closing argument, not a question, not a point. That is an extensive
no. There was a point to be made.
Argument.
There was a point that has to be made. We're talking about the creative process and showing how the artists come up with those things and how that.
If we're talking about the creative process,
Bohemian Rhapsody has some examples of that.
The creative process. If we look at the examples that Bohemian Rhapsody gives specifically, they are cartoonish and Oscar baity, to say the least. They are built on a very thick layer of cheese, and they are difficult to watch and stomach. I think the point of a biopic, not just a musical biopic, is to A, entertain as a good movie first, and B, give the information of the characters that they're trying to embody and who they were as people second. And I think even if Bohemian Rhapsody displays facts which have been arguably proven to be incorrect, as most biopics are, to be fair, I think it's proven that it is simply just not an entertaining film and is layered with thick amounts of cheese and boringness that just drags it down to the pits of absolute hell. It is not a movie that I have ever enjoyed watching. It is not a movie that I don't think most people have enjoyed watching. And he can make the argument all he wants that the movie has moments where these characters come together and they create these songs that we know so wonderfully. It is just Oscar baity moments of cheese in the script that are just ridiculous. What do you mean they're having an argument and then John Deacon comes in with a bass line that is another one bites the dust? This is the most boring scene you could possibly imagine. It is like the impossibility of ridiculousness out of here. It is like the like quote unquote movie moment that happens 5, 6, 7 times in this film that is ridiculous and unbearable to watch. It makes the movie unstomachable. If you look at Elvis, there is intentional cheese layered in by Baz Luhrmann, especially in Tom Hanks's character. That makes it fun. That makes it interesting.
Is good on
Hang on.
one hand.
No. No crosstalk. No crosstalks. You can intend to put in cheese. You cannot be an Oscar baity film that has cheese in it. This is ridiculous. You cannot make a serious film that I laugh at. You can make a movie that is funny that I laugh at. And I think Tom Hanks' character was never meant to be one taken seriously the entirety of the film. I think there are definitely moments where the character was played up cartoonishly to be a sort of comedic relief to this film. And I think there are obviously times where that character is brought down in comedic level to a more serious level and can be the villain of the story. And I think the movie itself is arguably entertaining, vastly more entertaining than Bohemian Rhapsody, which accomplishes the objective that any movie should have initially. And on top of that, it still tells the story of Elvis. It still showcases his music. It still creates a concert environment for us to enjoy with. It still allows us to relate to Elvis's audience. It does everything that you listed in your opening arguments that a biopic should do better than Bohemian Rhapsody does. And it's still entertaining. So you say it's too stylish. Nay, sir. I say not stylish enough.
Okay. So that's our call and response there. And now, Dylan, do you have an extra point against Ryan?
I suppose I kind of did 2 in 1 there. I'm not going to lie. I guess
Judge, are we going to love it?
Well,
another one out?
I was rebutting against what you were saying, and Inso was taking down Bohemian Rhapsody because my point was going to be anyway that I think the film is boring, and you touched on essentially why I think it's boring in your point. I don't find the film entertaining. I can't enjoy watching it. I don't think the performances are very strong. I don't think the writing is strong at all. I think the editing is paced awfully. I think there are multiple dialogue only scenes that have no music in them whatsoever, that have rapid pacing for no reason, and it makes it impossible to watch. We talked about last week the Super Mario Galaxy having crazy pacing. There's crazy pacing in the edit for this film for no reason in scenes that don't need it, and it makes it objectively difficult to watch. I think Baz Luhrmann knows how to pace a film well. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes is how long Elvis is, and it feels like a fucking breeze, let me tell you.
Feels 2 hours and 40
Does not feel like it at all. It feels like a fucking
longer
breeze.
than
And
Bohemian Rhapsody.
No crosstalk.
All right.
Despite the excessive
No crosstalk.
Order.
no long.
No crosstalk. It does not feel like that at all. It is a light breeze. It is absolutely fantastic. It is entertaining start to finish. It is a showstopper start to finish. It showcases his music in a way that it was meant to be showcased. And I absolutely love it as a film and as a musical biopic. And I cannot believe that even though Ryan might argue that it's a good musical biopic, I cannot in my heart of heart believe that he would argue that it's a good movie in general. I do not believe he would.
Ryan, what do you have to say to that?
I would say that it is. I think they're one and the same. It's a good delivery of this genre. It's giving me exactly what I want. And so therefore, I think it is a good movie. Again, you're just saying your personal preferences. You just don't find it entertaining. Okay, I guess that's fair. But I think in terms of, again, personal preference, but in terms of the debate that we were having of whether or not it is a more successful music biopic, I think there's no contest that Bohemian Rhapsody is able to deliver on everything that your film claim to deliver on. And what you don't even fight back against is that Bohemian Rhapsody does show the darker sides of Freddie Mercury. You can't say that Elvis does the same, or certainly not to the same degree. As stated already, it gives us more understanding of how these iconic songs were created. Again, your argument doesn't even make sense. You're saying it's intentional cheese on one hand for Elvis, but somehow Oscar bait cheese on the other for a scene where, again, it's played comedically, where he comes in with the bass line and he's like, oh, they're like, oh, that's good. What is that? Okay. And they're like, yeah, we got to go along with this song. There's a lot more intentional comedic moments is another thing I haven't really touched on, but the band, we get good dynamics with the band between Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor, Brian May, John Deacon. There's a lot of moments where they're battling it out over
They have
favorite
poor chemistry.
Subplot. No, not at all. They were great. They're like spitting images of them. They look great, and their performances are great. And a lot of the times, again, they're doing the banter back and forth. And the one where Roger Taylor is trying to get his song "I'm in Love with My Car," and no one else is having it. They're all like, "We can't do this." They're making fun of him for the lyrics of like, "Oh, when I grab my grease gun," and they're like, "So weird, Roger. What are you doing to that car?" Like they play up the moments of comedy and companionship between them, which I think is great.
Order.
Order. Can you do the British accent one more time?
Oh, you want the British accent?
Yes, please.
You could have, again, Freddie Mercury,
and I'll do
Rami Malek is in that that accent. They both do well in their accents, I would say. Elvis and our Freddie Mercury.
Mama big Cadillac. You can get a 10 Cadillacs. How about 100? You can get a 1,000 Cadillacs.
Indisputably bad of all these. You can agree.
Fantastic.
We will be revisiting Colonel Tom Parker very soon, but I want you to let you finish.
But anyway, I just want to emphasize. Briefly. So again, I think again you can say just personally you don't find it entertaining or whatnot, but some of your reasons for doing so, you're saying on one hand it's Oscar bait, on the other hand it's cheesy. I would wager there's a lot more intentional comedy that hits well in Bohemian Rhapsody. Whereas again, if you're trying to craft the villain character of your Elvis movie, it's Colonel Tom Parker, he should not be a cartoon villain. He should not be absurd. He should not look like he walked off a low budget Batman movie where he was the Penguin. Like it should not be something like that.
He's just a real guy. I don't know what to tell you, man. He's just a real human being.
We're getting off into some other
playing it up in that way. Whereas in Bohemian Rhapsody, we get again a more human look at what a villain would look like, right? Someone who is both Freddie's lover initially and kind of like initial foray into exploring his sexuality, but also someone who then isolates him and wants to keep him for himself. And so we see how
you're saying Elvis didn't fuck Colonel Tom Parker. Is that what you're implying? Because you and I watched a different movie, pal.
Yeah, I didn't get to that part.
You and I were one and the same because we had sex together, Elvis.
And so I would say, yeah, overall, Bohemian Rhapsody.
You told me to forget about that, Colonel.
Is very.
So we're going to talk about that. Colonel.
Order.
Sorry.
Is very entertaining and does deliver on more of what a movie should, which is actually fleshing out its main character, which is Freddie Mercury, rather than giving a lot of its lengthy runtime to Colonel Tom Parker, who is on its face absurd. And then even when you dig deeper into why aren't we focusing on Elvis and our Elvis story, it's just in bad taste, in poor taste, to have, again, the guy that was the abuser of his life come off so silly and foolishly when this is a serious matter. So yeah, I think some of your logic there was a bit flawed and a bit
Disagree.
skewed by just your personal taste.
All
It doesn't
right.
support the fact
Wrong.
that Elvis is a better music biopic. I think clearly Bohemian Rhapsody delivers better on the music biopic.
Disagree.
promise.
Wrong.
All right. All right.
Incorrect.
We will end our open session there, and we'll move on into Q&A. First of all, I want to say, boys, proud of you both. Love you both in my capacity as a judge. Thank you for doing this with me. This has been great.
Appreciate it.
All right. We got to talk lead performances.
Mhm.
And as it pertains, I have critiques to both. One is certainly shallower than the other. For Ryan, we got to talk about lip syncing, or at the very least, the like mismatching of mixing together of original vocals and an original performance.
Mhm.
Because this man won an Oscar for a performance where he lip syncs a fair amount on
Indeed.
screen, and I would like you to respond to that.
Well, I'm not sure that in the Elvis film, Austin Butler was singing much of his own work there, but I will say with
It's
Freddie
more than
Mercury,
Rami Malek, but to your defense, there is quite a bit that is mixed mode.
Is it
To
also
Ryan's credit, yes.
okay?
But I would argue that Austin
Well,
Butler
then we'll
does
talk
sing
about it
quite
in
a bit.
both. We'll talk
yes.
in both.
Yes.
I would say, I would also say Freddie Mercury, with complete respect to the king, I would say that Freddie Mercury has a more distinct and difficult voice
I would
than
agree.
Elvis.
I would
So
agree with Ryan on
I
that.
think we'd be expecting a lot for us
Yeah.
to have Rami Malek sing himself and have it sound like Freddie Mercury, and it's just really hard
I
to
think that is a
do,
good point.
and that would take us out of the film. So that would be my reasoning for why they decided,
Yeah.
and I think wisely so, to have lip syncing.
I think he's
All of
right on
Freddie
that part. You know,
I think that's fair. Well, then my question for both of you would be: then why bother for both of these?
for making the movie in general.
For making the movie in general. If you can't at least have somebody embody a performance in that way, or at least take their own take on it. I don't think Timothée
I
Chalamet
think you can
sounds specifically like Bob Dylan, but I think he evokes something vocally that I personally find interesting.
Again,
even
I
if
would
don't
wager
find that,
Bob
even if I don't
Dylan
find that movie all the different.
is easier to sing than someone like
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
But I see the point you're making, Kirk. I think in general, to me, the point of these biopics is more than just like rehashing a performance of an artist. I think it's more about embodying the character that these people were and like telling their story as honestly as they possibly could and as entertaining a way that they possibly could. And I think in like using the lip sync to make that happen, we're still getting a glimpse of what these people were like in real life, but you can still allow these actors to embody these characters and to dedicate more of their time to trying to capture what they're supposed to be like. I think for Austin Butler, at least specifically, it's more than just doing an accent or, gyrating his hips or like just trying to copy Elvis's swagger on stage. I think for him specifically, he approached this, from what I know, as someone who lost his mother shortly before he auditioned for the film, and obviously that's a big part of the Elvis story, and Elvis's like character trajectory in the film specifically has a lot to do with him losing his mother very young. And so I think for him, it's a lot about embodying that emotion and carrying that through that character and the arc that he goes on as being somebody who is unsure of himself and unsure of where he wants to be and what he wants to do. And he had that, beacon of hope that was his mother that he then loses so young, and he starts to kind of lose his way. And it's an easier moment for Tom Parker to sort of abuse him and sway his direction. I think that is kind of the approach that Austin Butler at least is taking here. Rami Malek is swinging for fucking nothing here. I mean, my God. Sorry.
Calm down.
Not good.
Calm down. What are you talking about?
Not good.
They're both,
Very, very good.
certainly taking big stories. They're both very big performances.
Yeah.
I will say, I think that's maybe just where in general I bump up against music biopics is like you're saying, you want to have an actor be able to embody a character. And I think the lip syncing can add to a sense of artifice unintentionally that for me kind of distances. And I will say at the very least, the fact that it wasn't as noticeable in Elvis, and maybe that is
You can definitely, while he's performing, you can hear Austin Butler doing a
Yeah.
lot of it. You can tell it's Austin Butler for a lot of it,
And
but
even
there's still
just
quite a bit of
even
lip
just
syncing.
in the like actual like literal syncing of the lips, I think
Yeah.
Austin Butler that movie does a better job. I think there's a scene specifically where Freddie's sitting down and playing at a piano, and it's very clear, even if it's his voice, like that they're playing, that they're putting over him, like he's not singing live, he's definitely lip syncing to somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that artifice distances me personally a little bit from that performance. I want to touch on two things related to the artistic processes in Bohemian Rhapsody. First of all, the Mike Myers scene.
Yes.
I think that
You want, hey, intentional
I think
cheese.
that shit's goofy as hell, and I would
Intentional
like
cheese.
a defense of it.
Intentional cheese. Okay, we're talking about.
I don't
It's
think that
very-
is intentional cheese. I think that's a genuine attempt at humor.
Well, which
There
part are
you
you
go.
referring to? Because it's a long scene. I think I was referring to the whole idea of casting Mike Myers in a scene where he's decrying
Yes.
the profitability or success likelihood of
All of
Bohemian
that, I
Rhapsody.
think, is kind of lame.
It's, I
In a
think, very
movie
meta.
that I think, well, I think in a
Meta
movie
is
that you're
crazy.
trying,
Meta is a crazy argument.
it is literally meta in that he was in a movie where they had banged to a Queen song, and then he's like, "No,
Teenagers were banging
teenagers
their
will
heads to a rock
will
song,
never
yeah.
bang their heads to a rock song." Like, come on. But like, that is literally meta. But I think it is another layer of artifice and distance and taking me out of what could be
It's
a
like
soulful
the
performance.
original girls in Wicked showing up in the first Wicked movie just to do like a
I think it's
small
fine.
number.
I think again, there's different levels of like fan service that we accept, just on whether or not we're the right mark.
But
for
fan
it at the
service
time.
in a Queen biopic that has no prequels, like there's no prequel to the Queen story, you know?
Yeah, but again, it's the fandom of Queen who knows obviously the Wayne's World.
But
Bohemian
when I'm watching a
Rhapsody
movie,
moment.
I'm not doing
It's
it
like
for
a
the
pop
IMDb
culture
trivia. I'm doing it for the experience, you know?
Well,
I
so
do
is
it a little
everyone,
bit for
but
the
it's something
IMDb
that can
trivia.
add to your experience.
I
you
go
know
on the
it.
IMDb trivia afterward, but I want to be watching the movie. I'm watching the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not something that if you know about it, then you'll recognize it and then you can appreciate it, or I guess bump up against it if you want. But I think
Mhm.
there's no harm in doing it. It's not like it stalls the movie. I mean, it is still functioning as a scene where some music
Sure.
exec is doubting the possibility of Bohemian Rhapsody being a hit, and then they're debating it. And obviously, we know where the story goes, but it's just another added layer of like, oh, isn't it funny if we cast the guy who is partly responsible for the pop culture imprint that Bohemian Rhapsody now has, if he's the one playing this guy? Again, I think it's fine. Like for me, I never was like, how could they do this? It takes me out of the film. I think there's a level to it where it's like, oh, it's cute. It's cute that they recognize again the impact that Mike Myers and that particular scene had on the legacy of Bohemian Rhapsody. So I'm fine with it. And again,
Alright.
I think they're knowingly like adding a little bit of cheese in there for it, for the people that recognize it. And then if you don't recognize it, it doesn't affect your viewing of the scene at all. It's not like it
Mhm.
stalls
You
the
always
film.
make this argument that
With
if you don't
Wicked-
recognize it, it doesn't affect your viewing of the scene. But
Go
as
to
someone
your
who
Wicked
does
example,
recognize
it's
it,
like,
I
why are
actually
these people
disagree with
singing?
that. I disagree with that. That if you don't recognize it, it doesn't affect it. Because I think to Dylan's point about the editing in this movie, I think that scene in particular has some like weird pauses, intentional, almost like a Marvel movie with like applause breaks, like just intentional editing of silence for people to go, oh, that's Mike Myers and that's Wayne Worlds and that's funny. So I
Yeah.
think that as a viewer,
Wouldn't that have
especially
been
watching
one
at home
specific
or
moment?
whatever.
And I don't necessarily
Well, it is
think that there was
it's
like
a moment, but it's a moment
applause
in the
breaks
movie.
in there. And I don't know what happens, on the actual film. I think some people maybe caught it and were like, oh, I don't think they were baking it into the film in a way where they had, applause breaks.
but to say
in
it's like
there.
no harm, no foul is stupid because I was harmed. I was fouled. I watched this movie and I thought it was stupid.
The
I
history.
do know, and it's dumb.
I'm saying if you don't, then you will not be harmed or fouled.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's
I
a stupid
I disagree
argument.
with this. I think from my memory of the
You're
scene,
just saying it's a super.
I think
I'm
it's
saying it
edited
doesn't.
a little bit awkwardly, where if you don't know what's going on, you're like, this is just sort of a weird.
But
Yeah,
the argument can't
I
be
don't
if
think
you
the
don't know it, no
editing
harm, no
is
foul.
present.
Because what about those of us that do know it and are harmed and foul? Like we just don't like it and we think it's dumb.
Okay, well then I would say
We
there's
are
people
audience
that
members as well.
did understand it, did like it, and did appreciate it because they like the fact that it is paying homage to an important part of Bohemian Rhapsody's legacy.
Mhm.
So again, you personally don't like it. Okay, that's fine. I don't.
I'm not
gonna
saying
say
I
that
personally don't like it. I'm saying a lot
filmmakers
of people
were awful
personally
because
don't
of
like it. I'm
So-
saying this is like a
Okay,
thing.
so you're saying that, and I'm saying
is
for as
detracting
many
from the
people
film.
that don't like it, I'm sure there's people that did like it.
But how is that a point in favor of the movie? being like a quality musical biopic that has
Kirk was
references
the
to
one that
itself.
brought it up, and I'm defending against it by saying, one, I don't think that it harms the film if you don't know the homage it's making. And then if you do know the homage it's making, I wouldn't say it's a 50-50. I would say probably it's more 730 in favor of the people that did enjoy it.
You're
Like,
pulling
oh, that's cute.
statistics out
That's
of your
fun.
ass right now.
I sure
And
am.
you can't just
But-
you can't just say
But I'm saying
your argument can't just be it is what it is. It isn't what
Based
it is.
on fan
it was just, it was a
service.
again. This is a
they do it because
stylistic
they know
choice.
fans will be serviced.
This
They-
is a stylistic
because some
choice
people
made
will
by
want
the
it.
filmmakers that many people, including myself, would consider detrimental to the film itself. And I'm saying that my movie, Elvis, has many stylistic choices that are in favor of the film as a musical biopic. I'm saying this does not like help the musical biopic in any way.
I'm not the one that brought it up. I'm just saying that it's a
You're
little moment
defending it,
that
and I'm saying it's a
included.
poor defense.
Your defense, my defense is perfectly fine. How else would you defend it other than saying
I wouldn't defend it. I think
you
it's
can
stupid.
personally dislike
I
it?
would say
I'm
it's
telling
stupid.
you, they wouldn't have included it in there if they didn't know that certain people would appreciate it. And I guarantee you there are people that appreciate it. You know why I know this?
Are you saying that
Because
filmmakers
they did it
wouldn't-
again in the Michael movie. Mike Myers is cast once again as a music executive. They wouldn't keep doing this unless
Are
they
you saying
didn't
that?
think
Are you
people would
saying
enjoy
that
it.
filmmakers are only making choices that they know people would enjoy? You're saying that filmmakers and producers only make decisions that they think will be a good choice for the film? Are you saying that the Minecraft movie was made with the best intention of the audience at heart?
Of their target audience, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would say they probably knew that kids that were gonna
I actually think
throw their
everything that
popcorn
you
and
just
chicken
sarcastically
jockey.
said is a reasonable thing to say.
Chicken jockey. I think they got their target audience for sure.
Well, let's talk personal preferences,
Okay.
and let's talk Colonel Tom Parker,
All right, please.
because that man is
Please
a
let us.
cartoon.
Yes, he is absolutely. I never said he wasn't.
But let's get into this though, because I appreciate the argument of building Elvis up as a mythic figure, and
Yeah.
I even appreciate the defense of the framing through Tom Parker as seeing this man through his rise and fall,
Mhm.
and even how some of his
That's how I've interpreted it,
decisions, how his decisions and his view of Elvis as this
Mhm.
object to be manipulated can
Yeah.
be, framing some of these events. I would like you to tell me one personal thing about Tom Parker. I would like to hear like one moment of introspection or just something that we get beyond the cartooniness of Tom Parker. Because if this movie is through his eyes,
Yes.
then I don't think people see themselves as cartoons.
I think there's a lot early on in the film after he first initially convinces Elvis to sign with him, where Elvis is getting that success and he's seeing that success. And in the narration, Tom Parker is talking about how they're succeeding and the snow job is working and people are buying into the show. And I think there is a part of him that enjoys working with Elvis, maybe partially because, or mostly because he's making that money and he's making that con job and it's working out. But also because I think he just there's many times where he relates to Elvis and saying that they're the same. I think he sees Elvis as this person who also leans into the showmanship. He sees the effect that Elvis has on the women, and he says this is a guy who understands what the audience wants. This is the whole argument that Tom Parker has. Is he's I pick out acts because I know what the audience wants, and he sees Elvis wow this crowd with this brand new style of dancing, this brand new style of music, or this rehash of an older style of music, and he says this is a guy who knows what the audience likes. So he sees himself a lot in Elvis. And I think there's a moment later on in the film when he has to convince Elvis to do this thing that he doesn't want to do, which he's been doing this whole movie. He is conning Elvis into what he wants and not what Elvis wants, because he thinks he knows more about the audience than Elvis does. I think there's a moment later on in the film after he's he sees the paper, and it's the handwritten note that Ryan brought up earlier, and it's all debts forgiven and unlimited credit, and his eyes widen. And then Elvis is performing, he's watching Elvis performing, and he looks down, and then the condition is for Elvis to permanently stay at the International Hotel. And I think there's a part of him that drops because he knows that Elvis doesn't want to do it, and a part of him that knows that it's going to be very difficult to make that sell to him, because it is something that is he's doing something that he Elvis knows this is not what the audience would want. Elvis knows that the audience wants him to go on an international fucking tour, and that's what he wants to do. And he has to convince Elvis against that argument. He has to convince Elvis against doing what the audience would want to self-serve him in his selfish interests. I think that is a difficult thing for him to do.
Your Honor,
Yes, go ahead, Ryan, and then I have something to say about that
throughout
as well.
this, I think you'd notice that Dylan is a little more mean and harsh than I am.
Absolutely.
But this will
Dickhead.
be the one time where I say that's just a crock of BS right there.
It is not a crock of BS.
That is so BS. And he couldn't even really give a good reason for how he's not a cartoon villain, which he is.
I never said he wasn't.
100%
Again, I
correct.
never said he wasn't a cartoon.
But we
villain.
don't get any level of humanity. And again, for our viewpoint character, who's
He's not
also
supposed to
be
have humanity.
the second most important character in this film, he doesn't have any shred of humanity or
Why would your
anything
villain?
deeper
Why does your villain
to him.
need to be humane? Why?
Well, 'cause that
All
makes them more
humans are
interesting.
human. They're,
Why?
yeah,
Why
they're
would
more
that make them more interesting?
They're more complex, probably more authentic. Because nobody's bad 100% of the time, and yet
Yeah.
he is bad 100% of the time. And then it's one of those things where it's like, our Elvis looks kind of dumb because he's obviously a bad guy. This snow job.
I don't think he
dude
looks-
is
He
obviously
comes
a bad
off as
guy.
somebody who's
I
like,
think a lot of Tom Parker's arguments in those moments are good arguments. I think he is a very convincing con man throughout a lot of this film. I think when he brings Elvis into the International Inn initially and he says, look, if you go on the international tour, you're going to lose a lot of money. But if you come here for 6 weeks, you'll actually make money because they're not going to charge you anything to put on the show. They'll put forward all the expenses. They'll pay you. You'll make a bunch of money in 6 weeks, and then you can go on the international tour. You don't have to worry about losing any money. That's a good argument.
Yeah.
That is like, if I was given that argument and I was Elvis, I too would sign on to do 6
I
weeks.
agree.
at the
That's a good
international
argument.
Inn.
It's the
Yeah.
thing that comes later when the whole security issue nonsense, and then which
Yeah.
they kind of because he's there for 1 year, and then he goes on like the U.S. leg of the tour. But then they're like, oh yeah, and then he just happened to do it again next year, and then he forgot about international. I'm like, okay, so we kind of just dropped that plot line very quickly. But the
I
other thing
think-
you said was like, oh, they keep saying they're the same. How are they the same though? Like Colonel Parker is not
They
the
both
same.
know
You
the
bring up
audience.
that they understand.
He says
the
it at the
audience.
end of the movies. He says,
It's
we're
a
the
completely
same.
different reason though. Parker is like, oh, I understand when the audience is feeling something they think they shouldn't, and so he sees Elvis as that, right? You know, Elvis the pelvis. Elvis never says he understands the audience and like, oh, I'm giving them something they don't like or something they don't think they should feel.
But that's what
moves
Tom
because
Parker
No.
believes.
if I can't
Yeah,
move, I can't sing.
I would
That's why he
disagree
does
with
it. So
that.
they don't. They have
This is
Ryan,
what this is what Tom Parker believes.
Yeah, I would say that actually is part of what does make them an interesting pair. That is sort of the duality of Elvis.
And that's
Is
not them being the same.
Elvis is seeing, but they're two
In
sides of
Tom
the same
Parker's
coin.
mind, they are
They
the
both-
Elvis didn't
they
even
both see
recognize
what
it
they
in the
want.
film. He
No,
literally asks
listen,
his
listen,
bandmate.
listen.
He says, "Why are the girls screaming?" He doesn't think of it that way. He's
No,
just
no,
moving.
he
because
In Tom
can't move,
Parker's
I
He
can't
mind, he
recognizes
believes
what they
this.
want, and he's trying to give them what they want in general,
can't move.
being inventive in the shows,
can't
whatever.
sing. I'm
And
just
then
saying,
Tom Parker
Dylan.
sees the
All right,
darker side of
Your Honor.
Yeah.
What are we arguing here? The judge needs to let me debate Dylan on this. Okay.
No, I think the judge can be on my side.
I'm just trying to clarify the point that I think he's making.
Here's what
Yeah.
you're saying, though. I agree with your point that like that makes an interesting pair, and it sure does.
Uh-huh.
Dylan's argument was that means they're one and the same, and they're not.
My
'cause they don't
argument
view
was
the
that
audience
Tom
the same way.
Parker thinks they are the same. Tom Parker. The narration is
He does
Tom
not think
Parker's
they're the same.
perspective.
If
he
he
does
gives a
think
reason,
they are the
he
same.
clearly knows Elvis doesn't also believe in. He says Elvis represents something that they want but think they shouldn't have. He never thinks Elvis also thinks that he is something that the audience wants.
He says at the
It's
end of
like-
the movie, "We are the same."
He says
give
that
them
line,
something.
and it's a bad line because it does make sense. He's just either one, he's lying to Elvis right there to try and make him pity him again, or he's stupid and maybe there's scenes cut out or something that would explain that. But we don't actually see how they are one and the same in that way. They're not. And so we don't get any fleshed out understanding of Colonel Tom Parker other than the fact that he's an absurd villain and the
He's not
second
absurd.
lead of
He's
this
a con
Elvis
man.
film
Okay.
that starts and ends with Colonel Tom Parker in the worst Tom Hanks performance of his life.
So here's what
No.
I think I bump up the most against on Tom Parker. Why Tom Hanks? Why was Tom Hanks cast in
Again?
that role? And would it be better if it were Stephen Root or the guy who played Zodiac in Zodiac or any other like just naturally large actor who didn't have to hide behind?
Again, I don't think the makeup is that bad.
I don't think the makeup. I think the makeup
It's done
looks
well.
good, but I think Tom Hanks is fighting to act through it, and I think that's where some of the cartooniness comes from for me personally. So when I'm watching that performance, it comes off as excessively big because he's fighting through the makeup and fighting through all that to make his point made.
No, I think the performance based on how the character is written in the script, I think it's going to come off cartoonish no matter who plays it. I don't think that is like a makeup problem. I don't think it's a problem at all. I think the whole point was it was supposed to be cartoonish and
I think it's
large.
a problem. I think it's
I don't think it's a
multiple
problem.
levels. Probably writing,
No,
certainly the acting,
I
certainly the
think I think
direction as
that I
well.
think it was an
Going to Baz
intentional choice
Luhrmann's,
to make him a cartoonish villain because in real life the things he did to Elvis were cartoonish. I mean, he took half of his money, half. He
yeah,
forced
it's
him
a
into
bad
a
thing.
residency
It's a real life
at
bad
Las
thing that
Vegas.
happens.
Yeah,
So we should, depict that in a way that honors the tragedy that it was, rather than him
it
seeming
does.
again like
It
an
does honor
absurd
the tragedy
comical
it was.
character.
It shows what he does to Elvis. It shows the detriment that is taken on Elvis's life, like deciding to stay with Tom
This is meant
Parker.
to be a
It shows
tragedy for
over and
Elvis. He
over
seems
again.
like he's
The
from an
first
entirely
time we
different
see
movie.
Tom Parker and Elvis interact is Elvis is passed out on the floor, and Tom Parker says the one thing we need is for that man to be on that stage. That sets the entire tone for their relationship. Is a complete disregard for Elvis as a person and a vision of him as a commodity.
100%.
Yes,
So
and
why
that
is
is
he
why
a
that relationship works.
comic-y villain? Why is he
Because that
absurd?
is a
Why is
comic-y villain perspective to have as a human being. Why does he not have humanity? Because the human being didn't have humanity. Because the character that they've written is not supposed to have
and you're
humanity.
saying that we
He's
know
not
that
supposed to look at
bad
Elvis and
people,
have a moment where he says, "Wait, maybe he's a human.
bad people
Maybe
do
I have
horrible
to."
things and they act like humans, like real. Again, there's absurd moments that they have, but they also act like real humans. At no point does Tom Parker seem like a
But in a
real
movie
human.
that is over the top and large and like decidedly stylistic, why would it have like an overwhelmingly balanced villain? Why would it have that?
Because it would
It
allow
I don't
sets
need
you
an
a
to connect with it
I don't need
more,
an
be more
overwhelmingly
complex, more
balanced
interesting,
villain.
more
I just need
believable.
a little. I personally need a little bit more shades of something, and
But I think he has moments of that. They give him moments of balance in the
I
think
film
they
where he can
tried
be
to.
darker. No,
I think they try
it sticks
to,
the
I don't
landing. I
even
think
and
you
think
need to
for me,
rewatch
it
it, Kirk.
doesn't.
I think you need to rewatch it, Kirk.
I
'Cause
do.
it
I
sticks
definitely.
the
I
landing.
need to rewatch both of these.
I think that scene that they show twice where he says he needs to be on that stage, I think is a heavy moment for Tom Parker. I think Tom Parker trying to like fight against the special and trying to get it to be a Christmas special and getting angry in the booth and like running around trying to get it happening. I think that is a serious moment for him. I
no,
think
that's comic
I think the scene where he confronts
villain.
Elvis on the stage after they close the curtain and Elvis is saying, "You're fired, you're fired, you're fired," screaming at him. I think that is a serious moment between the two of them. I think there are plenty of moments where I think
Yeah, you're
the
describing
scene where
serious moments where he still comes across like a
I don't think he
goofy
comes across like a
Saturday morning
complete
cartoon villain. He
cartoon
comes across
character in some of
goofy
these
in each
scenes.
of those scenes.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
No, he does not.
I mean, he absolutely does, especially the Christmas
He
special
absolutely
one.
does
I
not.
don't even know how you're saying that's a serious moment. He's walking around in a Christmas sweater talking about, we're going to get, here comes Santa Claus. Like, this is
That
this
scene
is
rocks,
great.
actually.
That scene's
Sorry,
awesome.
that scene
What
does
are you
rock.
talking about? And then it cuts over and he's doing what is it called? If I
Sure.
Could Dream.
Yeah, where he's standing in front of the big Elvis.
Yeah. It's a great scene.
Here's, I think, my where another place where I bump up against Elvis.
Okay.
If I think back as you're describing all of these scenes individually, I'm like, yeah, that scene rocks. Yeah, that scene rocks. Yeah, that scene rocks. The problem is, for me as a viewer, I think the maximalist style of Baz Luhrmann pushes me just a little bit too far beyond. All right, I get the point. Beyond, all right, I understand that me saying, all right, I get the point is the point, to a like an exhaustion beyond enjoyment.
But
Or I think that there's still, hang on, let me. I think
Yeah,
there
yeah, of
is. I
course.
think there is a happy medium that somebody can strike between like this person's life is insane and drug fueled and all of that. And I want to put you in the state of mind of how it felt to see him and to want to be him, and also to experience how he felt when he was in those stages. I think there's a happy medium there, and for me, I think it goes a little bit too far.
I think that I think in the argument that I've been making, I have been highlighting the most like extreme examples of the maximalism in the film because I think that's like the best part of the movie. I think there are also plenty of times it's like over 2.5 hours long. I think there are plenty of times in the movie where he intentionally paces down and slows it down to give a breathing moment for the audience. There are plenty of scenes where it isn't just rapid montage or crazy cutting between, different characters in the same scene. There are plenty of times where it slows down and there's character moments between Elvis and his mother, Elvis and his father. There are slow conversations between him and Tom Parker where they can kind of have like a dialogue about the future of Elvis and what that means, what that's supposed to look like. There's plenty of conversations he has with Priscilla where they're sitting down. There's plenty of slow moments during like the political assassinations when Bobby Kennedy is killed, when Martin Luther King is killed. like the effect that has on Elvis and the effect that it has like on his music and the choices he wants to make in his career. There's definitely moments where it slows down and allows you to breathe with that character, and then it just ramps back up because Baz Luhrmann is incredibly good at pacing and incredibly good at knowing when to speed up and when to slow down and how to give you the feeling that he wants you to feel at every moment of this film. That's why I love it.
I would disagree. I would say it
Yeah,
drags.
you're dumb. You're dumb as fuck.
2
You're a
hours
stupid
and
piece of
40
shit.
minutes.
Doesn't know anything about movies.
And it drags.
No. You think Bohemian Rhapsody is paced well? Boring film start to finish.
It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's not boring
sucks.
start to finish. Again, you're just being absolutely absurd.
Live Aid's cool. That's about it.
Live Aid is great. The performances in the meantime are great. And then because it actually dives into Freddie Mercury as a person, we actually have something to hold on to in the in-between moments. Whereas with Elvis,
it dives into Elvis plenty as a person.
So
it's about.
I want to talk about both of them as people real quick, because both of you, I think, use the phrase "warts and all" to describe your movies, and I disagree with that statement.
For both characters,
for both of them, because not least of which because they used Queen music in that and they used Elvis music in that. So both of these movies were approved by the estates of their respective people.
Sure. Who do you think
There's
had more
no way
warts
that all of these were.
Freddie Mercury clearly had more warts in the movie. I think they were more willing to let him be unlikable at parts. Elvis is never once unlikable or presented as unlikable in Elvis.
I think there are plenty of times where he's.
I do think Elvis comes off more as a martyr in my
intentionally
memory of that.
Arguably intentionally, but I think there are also plenty of moments where he is. Like I think part of like the warts to me are that Elvis is deceived by Tom Parker, and that in his mind. Shut up. In his mind, does not get to be the person he wanted to be, does not end up with the career he wanted to have. I think that is a wart. I think him seeing that of himself is the problem, that he gets to a point where he is like addicted to drugs and alcohol and sex, and that he is like depressed and he hates himself. And he says that I never got to go on tour. I never got the movie that I wanted to have. I didn't get to have this life that I thought I would have, and I think.
And then, like the movie, like you said, the movie ends with a, in my opinion, sort of saccharine. No, Elvis, you were wrong. You are important, and you are special.
I think it's gorgeous. It makes me it gives me chills because it cuts back to him, and then it shows a clip of him, and he says, "When I was a kid, I was in love with superheroes, and
all my dreams came true.
All my dreams came true. I got to wear the cape, and I got to be the superhero." And I think touching on that duality of that thought of the image that you want to be as a person and who you actually see yourself as being, the life you wish you had and the life you actually get to live, and the juxtaposition of that, I think is beautiful. And I think Tom Parker has those failures.
That would have been nice. They skip over the whole part where he's a failed Hollywood actor.
They don't skip over that. They talk about that quite extensively.
They montage through it and skip over it, and then they go right into.
They show him making the movies, and then they say, "Well, his movies they're not doing very good," and he's like, "What am I gonna do? I don't have any good movies. I haven't been on tour in a long time.
It.
What do you mean I do a Christmas special? What do you mean, Tom?
Christmas special? The Christmas special for 20 minutes.
Christmas special."
Mm-hmm.
So they don't focus.
He's a man dedicated
on those moments
to
where he's having the failures,
bigger.
which they should have done.
No, he's a man dedicated to wanting to be something bigger, and he is misguided in the sense that he thinks Tom Parker will help him get there, and there are many times where he almost gets away.
I also don't necessarily think that Freddie Mercury is depicted with many warts. I would say pimples.
Yeah.
He's got warts, bro. He's
kind of
unlikable.
They treat him very lightly in that movie.
They treat him a little bit with kid gloves.
He ends up like a fucking god at the end of the movie, in
the same way that
Elvis does.
It's hard because as a point for Bohemian Rhapsody, they are walking a very fine line of a lot of them, like basically every other member of Queen is still alive, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie's the only one who's no longer here.
They don't show the warts of the other band members. That's true.
But they do a little bit as well. But the worst ward is them being like, "Oh, Roger, your song sucks. Like, you just tried to write Octopus's Garden about a car. Like, right. That's boring."
No, I would say they do show warts. I would say he's kind of very unlikable in some of these films. Loki sexually assaults Jim Hutton that one time, right? After the party, he's drunk and they smacks him on the rear and tries to bring him over to him. He multiple times is a dick to all members of the bands, including the one moment where he was like, "Oh," they're like, "You're killing Queen." He's like, "Well, no, I'm not, because Queen wouldn't be anything without me. There's no Queen without me. You'd be an astrophysicist. You would be a car mechanic." I forget what Roger Taylor was. And he goes to John Deacon. He's like, "Yeah, nothing comes to mind." Like, that's just dickish stuff to say. And they give him quite a few moments of that, which allows him to have a better redemption at the end when he comes back and apologizes and all that. But I do think they make him come across like a dick in that middle portion of the film when he's living in the excess and
So your musical biopic
hedonism.
has to have a main character who's a dick?
I wouldn't say that. I would say just show who they are. And if they had a period where they were being like a dick, then showcase that. Again,
I think
Elvis
Elvis had a
very
period where
clearly
he was
more with
addicted
Priscilla,
to
who's
the
a
pills
minor,
and the
and they
attention.
don't dive into that. They don't
I
dive
think they
into
absolutely do mention it.
that at all. They don't mention it. They don't. She's
do
in the
mention
film, but they don't mention it. You would never
They
know
say that
watching
she's a
this film
teenager. They
that
say the
she
teenage
was
daughter.
okay.
They
I
say it.
think where she fell on the
On the
spectrum of
teenage
teenage
line is
was
not
very critical.
specified.
Yeah.
I think at that point we knew how old Elvis was approximately. I don't think you need to. There's nowhere on the line that's appropriate.
They're trying to.
Yeah.
They did not want to specify particularly. I'd say.
So here's the other thing I'm
what is
curious
worse
about.
Okay.
I've heard for the Bohemian Rhapsody side, you've talked a lot about the telling the story of the man and how they portray him. Rami Malek won an Oscar for this performance, and I feel like I haven't heard you talk a lot about that performance and what, if it's one that you hold particularly high, what you think of the prosthetic teeth that he's working with, like how. Talk to me about that performance.
I do think it's a strong performance. I think the teeth in some scenes can be quite eye catching. So I think the fact that he has to work through that, like we talked about with Colonel Tom Parker, can Tom Hanks act through the prosthetics? I don't think he did successfully in that. I
He
think
did.
Malek 100% successfully did in this film. And again, the teeth are like
I do not think the prosthetics held back Tom
like
Hanks at
Freddie
all.
Mercury.
Not
He
even
would have
slightly.
to work through that. And so I do think it's great. I think he carries the stage presence that Freddie Mercury does to the extent where we're like, I can understand why this guy was like a rock god. And then I think he has a lot of the charm. Like there's little quips, sassy quips that Freddie Mercury does throughout a lot of these like banter moments. I think he delivers well on those. And then again, when we're talking about when I bring up that he's like a real person, a real character, and he's showcasing the flaws, that's a credit to Rami Malek's performance, where I'm believing that yes, this guy is being dragged down because of again his own self hatred, his own like fear of being able to be who he is, and so he's going to the bottle, he's going to the pills, he's going to, um, a sex addiction basically, and then when he has those moments of reconciliation with the band, with Mary, like all of those, it's Rami Malek. Like if he wasn't delivering a great performance, those things would feel bland. And again, I'm not gonna say that this is the most revolutionary music biopic. I think it does follow a very formulaic story structure. Again, does that map onto the real life and how careers do have these rises and the down periods and then the comebacks? Yeah, I think it does. But again, I think Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury is able to help the film rise above what would otherwise be a very boilerplate structure that would be boring and not entertaining if we didn't have someone that was able to possess the charm, the charisma, the magnetism that Freddie Mercury has. So
Okay.
again, I really like the Rami Malek performance. The reason I didn't bring it up is because I think it'd be a tit for tat. I do think Austin Butler was great as Elvis. And so I'm like, well, I can't really
Dude, awesome.
put the two of them against each other like that. I think they both gave great performances embodying the
I
person
think
that
Austin
they
Butler
were
should have won an Oscar
trying to embody.
over
So,
Brendan Fraser.
dang,
He
really?
did look like that whale, though.
He did look like that well. He acted through those prosthetics for sure.
He sure did. A lot of acting going on there. Okay. How do we feel about closing statements?
I'm ready. Ryan, you go first since I opened.
All right. What do we got? 1 minute for our closing statements?
That's
Yeah.
right.
If you need a second, because you just finished answering a question, you can take a second to gather your thoughts.
I got it.
He's fine.
All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1. So once again, my criteria for a music biopic, it should capture the magic of an artist's iconic songs and performances, give you that sort of concert experience, feeling what it was like to be there watching the artists live. And of course, Live Aid and many of the other performances nailed that in Bohemian Rhapsody, but that climax is epic, incredible. I think a music biopic should also give more meaning to the songs by showing the process of how or why they were created. Things like Bohemian Rhapsody and Love of My Life 100% showcase that in Bohemian Rhapsody. And the film should give a deeper understanding to who the person was off stage, and giving us a look at the person behind the persona, showing us their flaws, showing the warts and all. And of course, I think Freddie Mercury is depicted in that way. And so Bohemian Rhapsody does all of these better than Elvis, which buckles under the weight of Baz Luhrmann's overly excessive style that detracts from Elvis' story, as well as the emphasis placed on the bafflingly bad Tom Parker character.
All right. Thank you, counselor.
All right.
All right, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yeah. Let me remember what I wrote down here.
Okay.
Okay. I got it.
Okay.
All right. Good go.
My favorite Elvis song growing up was A Little Less Conversation, but very specifically the remix done by Junkie XL, who very famously did Mad Max Fury Road. So it's a very heavy dubstep version of that song. I played it all the time growing up. I thought it was amazing. And it is very much still Elvis singing. It is very much still his melody. It's very much still his song with a twist to it. It is stylistic. It is a stylistic choice. And when I went to go see this movie, knowing that Baz Luhrmann was making it, knowing his previous films and his filmography, I said out loud to many people, I really want it to be like this version of this song. I want it to be like a modern version of Elvis. I want him to take what we know Elvis as, and I want him to amp it up to 11 so that I can feel what the people felt when they saw Elvis. When I go to see a musical biopic, I want to see style. I want to see abundant style. Elvis is packed to the brim with it. Bohemian Rhapsody has none.
Dang. Out with 8 seconds to spare.
I'll take those 8 seconds.
All right. You've given me a lot to think about here. This was a very, very interesting conversation.
Please think aloud. Think aloud for us and the audience.
So I'll tell you a little bit about my going into these. I remember seeing Elvis in the theater and feeling that energy and feeling the presence of Austin Butler and feeling that performance, but also feeling just truly exhausted by the end of it. I didn't sleep through it like I did through the Mario Galaxy movie, as we discussed last week, but I was pooped. And I think by that point, less bought into the ending because of that. I think my, emotional state made me a little bit more cynical about how he was presented by the end of the film. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't remember seeing Bohemian Rhapsody. But I know that I saw it, and I know that I saw it in a movie theater, and the lights were down, and I got to hear Queen songs, and I got to hear rocking guitars, and I got to hear a guy lip sync and mix with Freddie Mercury's vocals, who has some of the best vocals ever. And it's great hearing those through loud on a speaker. I was thinking a lot during this conversation about our James Bond Cinema Showdown, however many years ago that was, where I argued that Spectre was the best James Bond movie.
Bold choice.
But I did it in, I think, a similar way to how Ryan tried to make Bohemian Rhapsody work, in that I personally think Skyfall is a more interesting and a better movie, but I thought that Spectre was the best James Bond movie. And so I deeply respect that argument, that something can be straight down the plate, fastball, and hit all the notes that it needs to. Personally, I don't think Bohemian Rhapsody hits as many notes as well as it needs to, compared to with how interestingly Elvis hits even its wrong notes. And so for that, I have to give the win to Elvis.
Let's fucking go! Ah!
Disc.
Stupid ass loser. Let's fucking go. You said Bohemian Rhapsody. I said I'm gonna mop the floor with this guy. This movie's dog shit, bro.
I don't think you mopped the floor at all, but
You got cooked.
It was a good fight. It was very well.
You did your best.
Argued all around.
Loser.
I will say, Dylan, I think you fell back a lot on personal opinion of just being of any time, even when
It's
I
just
brought
good.
up points. Well, sure,
yeah.
but even when I brought up points, just being like,
there,
no, you're wrong.
bad.
It's not an
It's
argument.
Ryan, do you genuinely believe that Bohemian Rhapsody is a better movie than Elvis?
no. But I
I
wanted to
fucking
pick
knew it. I
Bohemian
knew it.
Rhapsody
It was a good
Oh
vote.
my god.
It was well.
I
from the
called
very
it out too.
beginning.
I said there's no world in which he thinks Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody is a good movie. He goes, yeah, I do. I think it's good.
I do think it's good. I remember watching it when it first came out and loving again the Queen stuff. I've had a Live Aid was incredible.
I
And
remember
yeah,
talking about it with you when it came out. I remember
rewatching
you-
it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is
Yeah.
not good.
It's
Which
bad.
he didn't
I
bring
mean,
up
I
any.
totally-
Again, what were the
It's
arguments
really
that he
bad.
had? Because again,
Well,
I
main
thought I
argument that
argued
he had
the
is
points
really,
I had of the music biopic better, but
you argued them very well. His main point is the like stylism over like just straight up recreation, which especially with the Live Aid, you mentioned a couple little touches that they add between, or some like, you know, I guess meaningful, literally meaningful, but not meaningful to me personally, like behind the scenes of how that came together. I think, by the way, the entire like creation montage that they do, but with Bohemian Rhapsody and the other songs on that album, I think is incredibly shallow and lame as hell. I think it's
really bad.
actually
It's
made me
full of
escape-
cheese, bro.
Did you guys know that there's a Jimmy Buffett musical called Escape to Margaritaville?
No, I did not know.
It reminded me a lot of that, where the whole plot of that movie is just these awful ways to shoehorn in references to Jimmy Buffett songs, and then they'll sing the Jimmy Buffett song, and that's what that like segment there really reminded
no,
me.
that one was genuine argumentation, though. From my point, I think
It wasn't a
we
bad
talked on the
argument.
Elvis episode. I think we talked.
You really,
The best
really
scene of
argued
Elvis
well
is when they
the Love of
did
My
when
Life.
he's like working with the band and he's like, all right,
Yeah.
trombones, let me hear it, and he's like, all right, the
Exactly.
horns.
You had
I
a
was like,
strong
that's
argument
awesome.
in the sense that you do not see a lot of Elvis creating music. 100%.
Exactly, yeah.
Because
that scene is
because
inspired.
inherently he did not create a lot of music. He
No.
took a lot of it.
Yeah,
That is what the movie says, and is also just the truth, is that he's inspired by these songs and he does covers of them.
yeah.
That is Elvis.
But I remember.
I didn't want to bring that up though, because it's a bad point against Elvis.
Yeah, but that scene.
It's another controversy they don't really touch on.
Yeah, that scene is so much more interesting to me than any of the other creation scenes. I didn't specifically remember the Love of My Life motif, but you argued that really, really well. How that came
I think
up
it's a dumb
throughout all of
argument.
that. But I also think it's dumb that you were like, this one works and these ones don't, and didn't really give
Legitimately, though, they
that
do.
much.
When watching Elvis, I was like, this is getting ridiculous. The amount of Suspicious Minds they played
It's just the
To
musical
literally
motif, it's not even the
match.
song itself.
that
It is.
Parker,
And
they do play
I
multiple times.
disagree with his point about Doja Cat being good, actually, which I also agree
Dude,
with.
I remember
It's
famously
literally-
you disliked that. So that's why when you said I like it now, I'm like,
I
you're-
did. I did
I'm
dislike
off
it,
it.
and
You dislike
I
it?
went. I did dislike it when I watched it the first time, and I watched it literally last night because I broke it up into yesterday and today. I
Yeah.
watched that scene last night, and I was like, actually, this shit is sick as fuck.
I was going
I
to
think
say,
this is
because it's
awesome.
literally everything that you're like thematically. I think it represents everything that you were looking for out of that
Yeah.
movie in terms of like you have the original recording, you have the Elvis recording, and then you have a
Continuation.
contemporary like huge artist. Whether or not Doja Cat is still huge in 2026. No,
Elvis
but
was
when that-
never. I guess
that
the argument
came
I could
out,
have made is
huge.
Elvis was never an artist who like created new music. He's somebody who evolved existing music, and so the
Yeah.
inclusion of further evolutions of that music, I think, is just proof of his like staying power.
Yeah.
It's an argument I
and
should have
even
hit a
just
little
more
harder.
and even more
And
just
that's
on
what
the
they do in
surface
this
level, like just a large artist, so that like teenagers going to see that movie are like, well, why do I give a fuck about Elvis? Or like, oh, well, I go crazy at a Doja Cat concert or
Also,
whatever.
dude,
This
it's
is
sick as
related
fuck,
to
dude.
that.
I'm telling you, the
It's
scene
also
is sick
just
as
a great
fuck.
track.
I don't know about that. I mean, him
It
walking
is.
around.
I swear,
Ooh,
'cause
he
it's
looks
so good. And then they
Dude,
do a
has
Jack.
exact-
They do a Jack White song at some point, bro. It's so fucking. There's a Denzel Curry song. It's
Yeah.
awesome, bro. It's fucking sick.
It modernizes it.
I feel like
puts it in a modern
this is
context.
why I wanted to rewatch Baz Luhrmann's other movie, because I was like, if I have this opinion here, maybe I would really like Great Gatsby, full of like Jay-Z's music. Because that was my biggest criticism when
Yeah.
I watched it as a kid. I was like, why is Jay-Z in this?
Yeah.
I feel like I would really like it now. I think this should be awesome. I've always liked the party scenes in Great Gatsby. They're incredible.
Those are dope. I do
Yeah.
like those moments in that. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
need
I
to
knew
rewatch it.
Bohemian Rhapsody would be the toughest sell, so that's what I wanted to
It's
do.
tough.
I wanted to challenge.
Dude, that is tough, man. I was
But
surprised. you
I
picked
just
it.
didn't
was
know.
like,
I didn't
damn.
know
Yeah.
how against it Kirk would be from the get. So I'm like, how?
I was surprised you picked it. What were the other ones on your mind?
Yeah.
There just weren't many that I've seen. I was thinking about
That's
the
true.
Doors.
Okay. I was thinking about
I
Love
think-
and Mercy, about Brian Wilson.
I like Life of Mercy a lot. If I was going to do a like closer to straight ahead biopic, I would have picked probably Rocket Man.
Okay.
which I think hits a lot of the same beats as Bohemian Rhapsody,
I think it
but
does a little better.
it does. I think it does it better. I
That
think
was
Taron
a
Egerton is a
perfect
better
merge.
performer, and I think it takes those musical sequences and like turns them into musical numbers,
Yeah, I would agree.
way that it's not just straight up watching a concert. Which, if I want to see a recreation of Live Aid, I'll just watch the recording of Live Aid because it's
I agree.
So
famously
you won't
recorded.
see it in theaters on the big screen with audience,
I could rent
I
a
don't care
theater.
about that.
You know,
with the studio,
I don't
with
care.
the sound system. It
Yeah.
hits different. It does just hit different.
Yeah.
So,
It hits slightly different. I think Elvis hits much more different when you watch his performances in the Elvis movie. I think it's just like I was getting transported to my fucking living room. I was like, this shit is awesome. It's so cool.
I just think it's a more. I think it's taking a bigger swing.
I
and
fucking
respect
when
love
did
the
you know,
first
Kirk?
scene.
When did you know you had your choice?
Was it close?
It was not. It was not like super close. I wanted to see how you held up against interrogation about Tom Parker.
I stand by it. This was not like a lie. This was not just for the sake of the argument. I
Yeah.
stand by the fact that I think this viewing, I did enjoy Tom Hanks' performance more.
And I respect you sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, all right, well, I got.
I do genuinely believe.
Hand
I believe it's worth a rewatch from both of you, and I think his performance will. Ryan, did you
Rewatch,
rewatch?
it's
You rewatched
bad.
it for this?
His
No.
role is still bad. It's the worst Tom Hanks. I don't think I said that in our show whenever we did the episode. On
I'm
the way
sure I
that
can
way.
find a worse Tom Hanks performance.
But
I'm
Yeah.
this is actually
fairly
I think, the
confident I
worst.
could find one.
Yeah.
I don't know one off the tip of the top of my head, but I'm sure I could
You
find
can certainly find, and I think this is just more where my taste lies. You can absolutely find a more boring Tom Hanks performance.
one. Oh yeah, The Post, easy.
Yeah.
Certainly more
The
boring.
Terminal, whatever. Yeah.
I think he takes big swings. I think it was always the intention of the character to have an actor who takes big swings. Like I don't like against Kirk's point, I don't think any other actor would have done any better. I think the character was written from that perspective from the get-go. And I think Tom Hanks, to his credit, played the character how it was written. I think he did his job as an actor.
So y'all
I stand
gonna
by
see
his
the
performance.
Michael biopic?
No,
I
I'm
will
not
I will
seeing
not
that.
see the Michael biopic. Did you see it, Ryan?
I did.
Thoughts? Because we're not going to
Great.
do an episode on.
Talk about not showing warts and all.
Yeah.
Not a single wart presented.
You're clear of that for sure. But they're gonna make a second movie.
Legally, they had to, though. You
And
know,
that's the part where there's only warts. So what are they
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
and there's a huge wart that they have to avoid because legally they're not allowed to depict.
Yeah, they legally had to cut the wart off the movie.
Yeah,
They shot the wart and then they had to cut the wart out.
unfortunately.
So we'll see what they do in the
Ryan, are you disappointed?
next film. Again, I knew it was gonna be an uphill climb. Again, I don't know when Kirk made the decision, but I think he was leaning towards you the whole way, I thought.
That's
And in the interrogations, I was like, oh. But
Oh,
I think I gave the best argument I
you
probably
absolutely did.
You tried. You did. You worked really hard. Yeah.
You
I was at
definitely
a
started
disadvantage
down.
because I was like, "There's no way I'm rewatching Bohemian Rhapsody for this shit." I think I would have. I think I would have like the gap would have been even bigger had I bothered to rewatch it because I did not have like a lot of specific scenes that I could attack because it's been so
Yeah.
long since I've seen it. But had I rewatched it, I think I could have dogged on it a lot harder.
Yeah, but I knew the Mike Myers. Once you brought that, I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know what to say for
Yeah,
for
I mean
this.
it's hard because I
Sure,
think
so-
I similarly have not seen that since I saw it in theaters, and so it's less. It's
I
think
forgot that
it's-
even happened. So good.
I
pull
think
for you,
it's
sir.
harder. I think it's harder to.
You could
I
have left
think
it off,
it's-
could have not mentioned it.
Yeah, I think it's harder to defend a boring scene than to defend even like a bad scene.
Yeah.
Again, I will say I think it's funny because I thought the ending, I was about to jump in and start fighting for Elvis. I was like, no, bro. The
Yeah.
Unchained Melody ending.
It's
I
gorgeous.
was just
It's fucking
exhausted.
amazing, dude. No,
I'll
it's,
give it- I'll give it
I
another
like.
watch.
I get full
End
body
of his
chills.
life.
Yeah.
Fat Elvis. He's sweating profusely. He's
Yeah.
2 weeks away from death, and he still has the power and the
He's
voice. Like that's
belting
yeah.
out. Oh, dude, I was getting chills in my living room. Like I almost teared up. It's
Yeah.
that's what I'm
gorgeous,
saying.
and it like just cuts a bunch of footage of him like performing throughout his career.
Yeah,
He was just such. I just watched him like he was such an icon. He was such a fucking legend, and I feel that way about Freddie Mercury the person, but I just don't really feel that way when I'm watching the movie.
yeah,
In the same way that I feel about Elvis, and I think maybe part of it has to do with cutting to the actual Elvis has a lot to do with that.
Mhm.
But also just I think the message of the movie being how he views himself and like how he wanted to be something big and ultimately didn't feel like that because of the abuse he suffered. Like that just makes me so sad.
Yeah.
And so to see him like fully live out like being the legend that he always wanted to be and seeing that on the screen in real life, in his real self, I think is awesome.
Gonna be 40 soon.
Yeah.
He's gonna remember me.
Dude, it's a great scene.
The one
Him
thing
and Priscilla in the car is a great scene.
The one thing we didn't get to that I was tempted to do was I was going to ask you guys to compliment the other person's movie doing an impression of Elvis and Freddie Mercury respectively.
I would have loved that. That'd been great.
We still can.
I have to compliment Elvis as Elvis.
Whoa, mama.
Please, Ryan. What did you like about Elvis?
I mean, just what I said there.
As Elvis.
I do think, Will. I think he captured my moves on stage very well. They call me Elvis the Pelvis. I don't really like that, but I could move a pelvis, that's for sure. Yeah, his the performance on stage, like some of the Vegas residency stuff.
Yeah.
When he's like doing that,
Vibrating,
shaking and
yeah.
everything, I'm like, let's go. I also really like, you didn't bring this up. I would have brought this up. Which I don't know. Again, I thought my integration of like the songs were important in Bohemian Rhapsody. Like they come up to reinforce whatever narrative is going on.
Yeah.
Elvis actually does do that well a couple different times. Trouble, when he's like about to get arrested, and they're like, you can't move your hips anymore. You can't
So
dance.
a motif is okay. You fucking dick.
I still stand by it. No.
I hate you so
The motifs
much.
towards the end of the film were bad. But no, this one isn't a motif. It was just him singing the song Trouble when they were like, oh, we're going to arrest you. And then he was being told by Parker to be like, hey, tone it down. Just go up there, sing a normal song. And he's like, no, I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to sing the song and move my hips.
Wiggles
and do
his
everything.
finger. Oh, dude, that's
Yeah, he
just
does
sick.
a little finger wiggle and then goes into it. And I'm like, that's incredible. That's what I like too. Again, the music biopic, like when you redefine the song or the performance of it ties in with the narrative at that particular moment in time. I think it works really well because it brings it beyond just a concert recreation. So I thought that was spectacular. All right.
And Dylan,
Huh.
let's hear your Freddie.
Oh. The movie was fabulous, darling. It was wonderful. I loved it. I mean, my goodness.
Yes,
was
did you like
incredible.
how
No!
Freddie did us
Kirk, have you seen Moulin Rouge?
I don't know that I have. I've listened.
If
to,
you
I've
thought
seen, I've seen
Elvis
the
was
stage
exhausting-
movie, or I've seen the stage show, but I've not seen.
If you thought Elvis was exhausting, the
Yeah.
first 15 minutes of Moulin Rouge drains you.
oh god,
It's so awesome. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
really okay.
It is the movie. I used to think Baz Luhrmann was my least favorite director. It is the movie that made me change my mind because I watched it and I said, this is a masterpiece. This is like the biggest turnaround I've ever had in my opinion as a director. Like I've never disliked a filmmaker after seeing a couple of their movies and then watching other movies and been like, this is like one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
In the same way that I felt when I watched Moulin Rouge.
What would you give Elvis now?
I give it a 4. I think at the time I gave it like a 3 or 3.5. I give it a 4 now.
Yeah.
You were pretty positive on it. We were both.
I gave it 2.5 stars.
You and I liked it.
At the time. Elvis. I said nobody makes movies like Baz, and maybe that's a good thing. I'm trying to see what I said about Bohemian Rhapsody. I actually don't know that I
think I gave
have
Bohemian Rhapsody like a
logged
2.5.
Rhapsody. I did.
I don't think I have.
I gave it 3 stars. No review.
Yeah, I think I
What?
gave it 2.5.
It was higher.
3 stars, no review. But it was in 28, so that was before I was like actively using Letterboxd.
This is pre-film literacy.
Yes.
Yeah, tastes had yet to been formed.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So
This is fun.
fun cinema showdown. Dylan,
Yeah.
you're currently holding the belt for the cinema showdown.
Oh, my love, my darling,
Jesus.
I hunger for your touch.
Is there a running tally? Do we know who's won more over the
No, we
years?
don't do it.
No.
Because it's a bunch of different people. I mean, I guess we could, because we don't always participate. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole smorgasbord of competitive. We keep track of the box office draft and the Oscar draft.
Yeah.
That's about it. Anyway, that's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
our title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to. Big shout out to Kirk for showing up 2 weeks in a row and being our judge.
Oh,
Thank you,
mama.
Kirk. All right. Thank you so much for coming out. We love having you on the show. We hope to see you again soon. Be sure to tune in next week. And to all you out there, I've words to you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Elvis was